Chapter 2131. Toddy Belster recalled a client he'd once had. The client had no money, so he'd left this ring as a deposit. Then, the client never appeared again. Toddy thought that the ring looked nice, so he kept it on his finger. Toddy Belster took off the ring on her finger. Chen Zhao looked at Toddy Belster in surprise. If Toddy Belster still had some magic waves when he wore the ring, then he'd become a normal person. After taking the ring off, he'd become a normal person. There was no magic on him at all. You're a normal person? Chen Zhao's expression froze. I am. You're a liar? Chen Zhao narrowed his eyes. It wasn't that he hadn't met scammers before, but there weren't many people who could trick him. Toddy Belster was the only one who'd tricked him so thoroughly. Of course, Toddy Belster wasn't someone who'd tricked him voluntarily. So, Chen Zhao didn't plan on killing him for now. Morocco, Toddy, you know him? Daniel asked darkly. Chen Zhao glanced at Daniel. Hallie's also frowned. President, can I kill him? Never mind, Chen Zhao said indifferently. He might not be able to leave here alive. What did you say? Daniel was enraged. Perhaps because of the sudden power, Daniel's previous cautiousness had turned into arrogance. This was a process that most acquired spiritualists had to go through. They thought that the power they'd obtained was unique. They thought that they could already fight against everything. They thought that they had everything. Some people ended up on a path of no return because of this. Of course, most of them were killed by their seniors. Suddenly, a terrifying aura surged toward them. Boom! A beam of black light descended from the sky and exploded before everyone. The area where everyone stood and the surrounding area were all destroyed. Toddy Belster, Morocco Bick, and Daniel were all frightened. The part of the stands they were at was almost completely destroyed. Only the part they were standing on wasn't affected. They weren't the only ones affected. A quarter of the stands in the Colosseum had been obliterated by the impact. At least 100 people were affected. These people, along with their contracted white nightmare, were all turned into ashes. The three of them looked up and saw a giant screen of black and red rising in front of them. It was this giant red and black screen that had protected them from the attack. After the impact, the crimson-black screen slowly descended. Jura Van Melsen was floating in the air in front of them. His body exuded a terrifying dark aura, and countless dark tentacles were waving around him. Jura Van Melsen looked very angry. He was like an erupting volcano, and his eyes were about to burst into flames. What did you do to Ronald Johnson? Where's he now? Jura Van Melsen saw Ronald Johnson's body, but his soul was nowhere to be seen. Ronald Johnson? A crystal ball the size of an egg appeared in Harry's hand. There seemed to be a face on the inside of the crystal ball. Ronald Johnson's soul was sealed inside the crystal ball. Are you talking about this guy? How dare you offend Ronald Jorgensen? You deserve 1,000 deaths. You can't wait to convict us. Harry's lips curled into a smile. At the same time, the crystal ball in her hand was invaded by Harry's magic. Ronald Johnson's soul was in even more pain after being sealed in the crystal ball. Jura Van Melsen was even more furious. The dark tentacles around him merged into one and smashed down on everyone's heads. Boom! This time, the dark tentacles did not land. They were blocked by Chen Zhao's dark magma in the air. However, the shockwaves created in midair still made the people in the arena feel dizzy and lightheaded. Harry's, on the other hand, seemed to be completely fine. She grabbed the crystal ball. Under the infusion of her magic filled with death aura, the crystal ball started to crack. Ronald Johnson's soul also cracked together with the crystal ball. You'd better hurry up. Otherwise, your friend's soul will soon be crushed by me. Jura Van Melsen was completely enraged. He released 4 fallen souls. These 4 fallen souls were born not long ago after he had invaded and assimilated them. These 4 souls had originally controlled the power of holy light. After their souls were corrupted, the souls born were 100 times more ferocious than normal evil spirits. However, they were up against the worst duo of all. Harry's was a spiritualist who had mastered necromancy. Her most outstanding ability was how to torture souls. In fact, every necromancer seemed to have a special liking for torture. Helis was also a necromancer, and one of the most outstanding necromancers. Herese raised her arm and grabbed the air. A dozen chains shot out from the void and bound the 4 fallen souls. The chains were all burning with blue flames. After binding the 4 fallen souls, they all howled in pain as they were burned by the blue flames. Their past consciousness had been erased. Only their instincts were left, so they still knew pain. But as their souls were burned by the blue flames, their cries became weaker and weaker. Soon, the black on their bodies faded too. What replaced it was their pure souls. They were sublimated in the fall. They regained their sanity. Just as the holy could fall, the fallen could also be purified if they agreed. After regaining their consciousness, the 4 holy souls looked at both sides and instantly understood the situation. Of course, they had an unforgettable hatred for Jura Van Melsen. After regaining their sanity, they also regained their memories. Demons, it's time for you to be judged. Jura Van Melsen looked at the 4 holy souls expressionlessly. Have you forgotten who killed you? I wasn't afraid when you were alive, let alone 4 stray dogs who have lost their bodies. Being separated from the body doesn't mean that we have lost our power. The power of holy light comes from our hearts, our faith. As long as our courage is not obliterated, as long as our faith is still firm, our power will not disappear. No matter how beautiful your words are, you can't change the fact that you will disappear completely. Chapter 2132. Jura Van Melsen was furious. Ronald Johnson had been his good friend for many years. In the past few decades, they'd all become different, but they still had their own consciousness. They supported and helped each other. They were also working hard for each other. They worked together to complete that great plan. But now, someone had stripped off his soul and tortured Ronald Johnson in front of him. To him, this was the biggest provocation. It was indeed too strenuous for the 4 holy souls to face the enraged Jura Van Melsen. It was just as Jura Van Melsen had said. When they were alive, they were no longer Jura Van Melsen's match. Not to mention after they died. The so-called holy light magic was actually a method to refine magic power. In essence, it was no different from other types of magic power. It would only be different when it was used. Therefore, with the support of the body, the power could be maximized. If it was just a spirit releasing magic, the power would be greatly reduced. As soon as they met face to face, the 4 holy souls were shaken by Jura Van Melsen's terrifying dark power. The 4 souls were like small boats swaying in the raging waves. It was as if they would be smashed into pieces if a wave hit them. We can't continue like this. Looks like we need to use that spell. The 4 souls communicated for a while. Determination appeared in their eyes. It was a very old skill. Fusion. The 4 souls fused into a Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit's body emitted billions of rays of light. It was as dazzling as the sun. The light on the Holy Spirit could even match Jura Van Melsen's dark power. Impressive. I didn't expect them to have such a powerful move. If they had used it earlier, they wouldn't be like this. Herese looked up at the Holy Spirit in the sky. Do you think they can use it casually? It's no different from suicide. Chun Zhao could roughly see the characteristics of this fusion. This was the suppression of a high-level expert against a low-level expert in terms of consciousness. When a university professor saw a primary school student taking a test, the professor would probably be able to see through most of the student's problem-solving techniques. Is the price of this move so high? Get rid of the excess parts of your soul and fuse them with the purest parts. To put it bluntly, it's a process of purification. It looks like they're combining to become more perfect, but in reality, they're just hurting themselves. In that case, it doesn't seem too bad for the 4 of them to fuse into a more perfect spirit body. If you put a few blocks together, it might look perfect, but in fact, it's just SOSO. One touch, and it will fall apart. Just as Chun Zhao had said, after the 4 pure souls combined into one Holy Spirit, the Holy Spirit would be destroyed. It looked like it was more than 10 times stronger than before. He could faintly fight against Jura Van Melsen. But in just a few moves, Jura Van Melsen destroyed the Holy Spirit. This time, there was really nothing left. It's your turn now. Jura Van Melsen turned to Chun Zhao and Helis. With a point of her finger, the body left behind by Ronald Jorgensen slowly flew up. This fleshly puppet wasn't that powerful, but it could borrow the power of the negative emotions here. Seeing that Helis was actually controlling the fleshly puppet, Jura Van Melsen was even more furious. "Stop your blasphemy, or I'll let you taste eternal torture." "Blasphemy?" Helis sneered. The fleshly puppet she controlled suddenly reached out and pried open its chest. "Now that's blasphemy. I'm going to kill you." Jura Van Melsen's fury exploded. He absorbed the black clouds in the sky like crazy. Helis didn't care. She was also controlling the fleshly puppet to absorb the negative emotional power here. Since it wasn't her own body, Helis didn't care if it would overload. Of course, she wasn't using the fleshly puppet herself, so she was definitely not as familiar as Jura Van Melsen. Helis controlled the fleshly puppet and kept fighting with Jura Van Melsen. The two went back and forth in the air, fighting fiercely. But it was obvious that Jura Van Melsen was stronger. But the fleshly puppet could continuously absorb the negative emotional power and repair its own damage. Therefore, Jura Van Melsen couldn't destroy the fleshly puppet in a short time. His only way was to go around the fleshly puppet and attack Helis directly. That was the only way to end a battle. Chun Zhao and Helis found a place to sit. Helis still needed to control the fleshly puppet. Meanwhile, Chun Zhao was just watching the show. But this dark elemental power wasn't vitality, after all. It couldn't repair the fleshly body infinitely. Helis tried her best to control the fleshly puppet. But in the end, the fleshly puppet couldn't escape the fate of being completely destroyed. Jura Van Melsen's body was also riddled with holes. His recovery speed had also slowed down. He wasn't completely unharmed. After all, the fleshly puppet Helis controlled didn't fear anything at all. It wasn't afraid of getting hurt either. The tactic of exchanging injury for injury was fully displayed on it. Morocco Bick, Toddy Belster, and Daniel's faces darkened. They all thought that Chun Zhao and Helis were relying on the fleshly puppet. Now, the fleshly puppet was completely destroyed. Their hopes were dashed too. Plus, they'd already angered Jura Van Melsen. "You'll all be punished, especially you, bitch." Jura Van Melsen pointed at Helis. "I'm so scared." Everyone could tell that Helis was mocking Jura Van Melsen. "Die!" Jura Van Melsen roared. A terrifying flood of darkness burst from his body. Suddenly, a huge body blocked everyone's way. Abyss Demon. Helis' trump card. She'd used 9 months to refine the Abyss Demon into her fleshly puppet of death. This was different from the previous fleshly puppet. She could freely use this abyssal demon as if it was her own limbs. As soon as the huge body of the Abyss Demon appeared, it was filled with shock and deterrence. Death Ray. A red beam of light shot out of the Abyss Demon's eyes. It pierced through the darkness and hit Jura Van Melsen. Whether it was Morocco Bick, Toddy Belster, Daniel, or Anto Trezek, they were all shocked. They couldn't tell who was stronger from the aura, so they simply thought that the 30-meter-tall Abyss Demon was stronger than Jura Van Melsen. And things went as they had imagined. The Abyssal Demon's death ray directly blasted Jura Van Melsen away. Chapter 2133. However, Jura Van Melsen was not seriously injured. In fact, before the death ray came into contact with Jura Van Melsen, it had been weakened by the small world around him. Not even 20% to 30% of its power was left in front of Jura Van Melsen. This attack had no other effect other than to anger Jura Van Melsen. Jura Van Melsen raised his arm high, and a spear appeared above his head, a black spear. The black spear was not particularly large and long, but it exuded a bit of hostility. "Congratulations, you have completely angered me." Jura Van Melsen pushed his arm forward, and the black spear pierced through the air. Poochie, the huge body of the Abyss Demon, was instantly penetrated. The black spear did not stop, and it still shot toward the back of the Abyss Demon. It shot all the way to the pile of rocks, and then burst out with a terrifying impact. The impact spread in a linear way, spreading hundreds of meters. Everything along the way was reduced to nothing. The huge body of the Abyss Demon fell to the ground. A ghastly hole was left in its chest. Although it was just a body, this hole directly destroyed the function of the Abyss Demon, causing Helis to lose control of the Abyss Demon. Swoosh! The black spear returned to Jurawan Melson's side. Jurawan Melson pointed with 2 fingers, and the black spear split into 2. Morocco Bick, Toddy Belster, Daniel, and Anto Trezek were all dumbfounded by what they saw. The huge body of the Abyss Demon was killed in seconds? Was there really such a huge gap between the 2 sides? Yes, it was that bad. With Helitha's current strength, she could be considered an expert among ordinary spiritualists. But she was far from the top level. And the Jurawan Melson she faced was not just the top level. Only a few people could fight against a half-step Shanxing realm expert. There was a qualitative gap between their strength, so Helis' failure was reasonable. Morocco Bick, Toddy Belster, and Daniel only now understood what Anto Trezek had said earlier. They had no possibility of defeating Jurawan Melson. Not even the slightest possibility. With that kind of inhuman destructive power, perhaps only an army would be able to defeat him. They simply didn't understand what Juravan Melson in front of them represented. However, they were already desperate enough. Juravan Melson looked down at the crowd from above. He was like a god, about to decide the fate of the mortals below him. Juravan Melson pointed at the crowd. All of you are guilty. In an instant, the 2 black spears pierced through the air. Who? 2 black spears tore through the air, bringing with them an unparalleled momentum as they whistled through the air. Guild leader. I'll do it. Chun Zhao stepped forward and raised his arms. The black spear stabbed toward Chun Zhao's palms. Boom, boom. 2 consecutive loud booms caused everyone behind him to cover their ears. But after the explosion, everyone saw that Chun Zhao was still standing there. His palms were smoking. Everyone's faces were filled with astonishment. Did he just block those 2 black spears with his own body? Even Juravan Melson looked shocked. You're not bad. If a real god said this, I'd feel extremely honored. But hearing it from you, I feel like I'm degrading. Chun Zhao shrugged. Do you really think you can beat me? Do you really think that's my full strength? Then, let's start your performance. Chun Zhao made a gentlemanly gesture for her start. Then, Juravan Melson actually naively thought that Chun Zhao was really going to give him a chance to fight. So, he planned to give a speech before the battle. But Chun Zhao didn't plan to do that at all. The next moment, Chun Zhao was already before Juravan Melson. No, I suddenly feel that we should end this quickly. Chun Zhao had already cut open Juravan Melson's body. This change was too sudden. Juravan Melson didn't expect it. The others also didn't expect Chun Zhao to act so quickly. And no one thought that the arrogant Juravan Melson would lose so quickly and so suddenly. Chun Zhao ended Juravan Melson's performance violently. Of course, it was the same as Ronald Johnson. Juravan Melson's body wasn't his original body either. Juravan Melson's soul flew out of the incomplete body. Of course, he also couldn't escape Chun Zhao's palm. Chun Zhao grabbed Juravan Melson's soul. Sorry, your performance is over. Do you think you've won? Juravan Melson's face was hideous, and his eyes were filled with resentment. Just then, Chun Zhao sensed that someone else was approaching. It was a powerful individual, about the same strength as Juravan Melson. No, not 1, 2, 3, for gradually, more and more auras approached. In the end, Chun Zhao couldn't even count them. They're here. Juravan Melson looked at Chun Zhao. You're dead. I don't feel that they're particularly powerful. Basically, they're all about the same strength as you. Do you think they can defeat me? Kill me? Maybe 1 won't do. Then 10, 100, 1,000. Juravan Melson sneered. Soon, you'll face a number of enemies that will make you despair. The approaching auras were actually the souls of the spiritualists who'd participated in that war. They were all Juravan Melson and Ronald Johnson's comrades and companions. They'd all worked hard for the same goal. This world and the Doomsday Bringer project had been created by them together. 1,468 spirit controllers. They represented the most glorious history of North America's spiritual world. Because of their existence, the entire world's spiritual world had thought that North America's spiritual world would rise. But what the government did later completely killed North America's spiritual world. Most of them had died in battle, and only a few had survived. But regardless of life or death, they were still entangled together. The hatred of the dead was carried by the living. The obsession of the living prevented the dead from transcending. Hatred and obsession finally merged into one, turning into the most terrifying thing. In the past 50 years, they'd been tormented and worked hard for this. They'd overturned the old world and the old rules. Chapter 21:34. One half-step to enchanting state and 1,000 half-step to enchanting state were two completely different concepts. Even Chun felt the pressure from the overwhelming pressure. At this time, everyone, including Harris, felt a chill. There were too many of them. There were simply too many enemies. And every enemy was stronger than her. Could Chun really win in such a situation? This might be the first time she doubted Chun. Outsider, you've committed a heinous crime. Heinous crime. Heinous crime. Those people's voices echoed in the air, like gods roaring in the sky. Morocco Bick, Toddy Belster, Daniel, and Anto Trezek were in complete despair. They thought that they could be free after defeating Jura van Melsen. Unexpectedly, Jura van Melsen's death was just the beginning of the nightmare. The real nightmare had just begun. No one believed that Chun could turn the situation around. It was a dead end. A dead end. President, they're one. Each of them is a calamity bringer. Together, they're the doomsday bringer. Harris said. Chun narrowed his eyes and looked at the countless enemies in the sky. No wonder Chun felt that these enemies weren't like an army. Their auras were connected as one. It turned out that they were one. They had a common origin. Just then, a few calamity bringers attacked everyone. Chun instantly rose into the air, and two calamity bringers' chests were instantly pierced by Chen's arms. Then, Chun swung his arms, and the two calamity bringers smashed towards his companions. Two white lights burst out from Chen's palms. Holy light cannon. After the holy light cannon, the four calamity bringers disappeared. Don't think that you have an advantage just because you have more people. The advantage is never on your side. Chen's eyes glowed fiercely. I'm different from the enemies you've faced in the past. If you want to defeat me, you need to work harder. More than 1,000 calamity bringers were also stunned. In the past, they had never met someone who could kill them individually. In their opinion, such a terrifying monster-level human shouldn't exist. But now, he had indeed appeared in front of them. This human was indeed incomparable to their past enemies. In the past, there were very few who could match them, let alone kill any individual in an instant. But our numbers have already determined the result. You can't change the result. Then let's wait and see. Jin stretched his body. Kill. The war broke out with a command filled with murderous intent. Chun was like a lion charging into a flock of sheep. In front of Chun, the messengers of disaster were as weak as a flock of sheep. Gravity fall. A disaster messenger cast a gravity spell on Chun. Chun immediately felt as if his body was being hung by a weight. At the same time, he slowed down. The moment he slowed down, the disaster messengers began to bombard him. However, the effect of this spell was limited. After all, Chun Ku was resistant to most magic. Even if it could penetrate Chen's resistance, only 10 to 20% of its power would be left. So many spells bombarded Chen's body. The effect it could have was also very small. Dark Assimilation, Chen's combat power sword. The gravity spell on Chun also disintegrated in an instant. Chun Zhao charged into the enemy formation again. Death Traction. Dozens of emissaries of disaster used Death Traction at the same time. A magic chain extended from their hands and wrapped around Chun. However, the next moment, Chun pulled hard with his arms. Not only did the dozens of disaster messengers fail to control Chun, instead, they were pulled back by Chun. Chun smashed the dozens of disaster messengers onto the ground. Another holy light cannon descended from the sky. The dozens of disaster messengers were vaporized at the same time. Both sides widened their eyes and stared at Chun in shock. They didn't expect Chun Zhao to be able to explode with such terrifying combat power in such a desperate situation. Black Dragon's Flame. More than 100 disaster messengers worked together. A terrifying figure appeared before Chun. Although it wasn't a real black dragon, it was far more powerful than an ordinary adult dragon. The flames hit Chin's body and caused a shocking explosion. The black clouds were blown away, forming a huge hole. Everyone's mood sank to the bottom. Under that kind of terrifying explosion and impact, could the human body really survive? Even Hellies couldn't help but worry for Chun. However, after the smoke dissipated, the figure in the sky was so eye-catching. Chun patted the dust off his body. That was close. The power just now was really enough to threaten him. Fortunately, Chun went all out at that moment. Dark Assimilation, Clone, 10,000 techniques returned to one, Mighty Spirit Transformation, and Strength Multiplier. Under the amplification of nearly 100 times, the attack completely lost its effect. Chin's eyes were filled with ferocity. Game over. An explosion came from the sky. Then, Chin disappeared on the spot. However, a path formed by flames was left in the sky. Everything on the path was turned into nothingness. More than 100 disaster messengers were wiped out in an instant. Before the disaster messengers could react, Chun waved his fist again. Again, he swept away all the disaster messengers on the path. In the blink of an eye, more than 300 disaster messengers were wiped out by Chun, nearly a quarter of the enemy. Even the disaster messengers were shocked by Chin's terrifying combat power. Was this guy still human? Was he still the human they knew? Why did such a monster appear among humans? You should lie down now. That way, you can relax. I can too. Lie down. Do you really think you've won? One of the disaster messengers showed a mocking expression. The more of us you destroy, the closer you are to death. President in the sky. Hellies reminded. Chun looked up and realized that the black clouds in the sky had expanded dozens of times. So this is your final trump card. Destroy all of your physical bodies, and everything you have will fuse with that thing. That's right. The disaster messengers didn't need to hide anymore. That's our final destination. We'll all merge with it. Really? My final goal is to merge with it too. No, more accurately, I want it to become a part of me. Chun Min Gran charged into the black clouds. Chapter 2135. All this time, Chun Zhao's dark lava had been a support skill. It wasn't that dark lava had no attack power. In fact, dark magma's attack power was quite good. But in a high-level battle, dark lava's only effect was to assimilate Chun Zhao's darkness. As Chun Zhao's power increased, dark assimilation's combat power was less than 2 times. If this trend continued, dark magma and dark assimilation would eventually be eliminated, just like Imperial Thousand Swords. But now, a chance was right before him. The dark and depraved power before him was the best food for dark lava. Chun Zhao charged into the black cloud and was immediately surrounded by the negative power. The negative emotions attacked Chun Zhao's mind wildly. But Chun Zhao's self-consciousness was extremely firm. It was a willpower that had been tempered. Then he devoured the soul fragment of his enemy, the black dragon, to make up for the shortcomings of his own soul. So, Chun Zhao's soul was far more perfect than a normal person's. This was also the change that the soul Qi had given Chun Zhao. No, it wasn't change. More accurately, it was evolution. Even the Demon King probably couldn't shake Chun Zhao's self-consciousness. The negative emotions were huge, but they weren't really strong. They were formed by endless hatred, resentment, anger, and fear. Every single one of them wasn't that powerful. So, they were at most huge, but not strong. Get out. Suddenly, Chun Zhao felt a terrifying power. It shook him out of the black cloud. Since it couldn't assimilate Chun Zhao, and Chun Zhao wanted to assimilate it, it obviously didn't want Chun Zhao to stay in its main body. Chun Zhao was blasted to the ground. The ground was also smashed into pieces. It really is huge. Chun Zhao licked his lips. When he looked at the black cloud, his eyes were filled with desire. The dark cloud turned into a giant once again. This time, the giant was more solid than the first time, as if it had a physical body. Come, all of you. The giant sucked in mouthfuls of air. The messengers of disaster didn't resist at all. They allowed the giant to suck them in. Gradually, the sky-reaching giant became thicker and more imposing. In the eyes of others, it was a god of darkness. Morocco Bick, Toddy Belster, Daniel, and Anto Trezek were almost on their knees. Chun Zhao stood up from the pit and patted the dust off his body. He raised his head to look at the towering giant. The giant raised his arms high as if he was casting a spell. Then, black pillars of light rose in the distance. Those black pillars of light were the passageways set up by the emissaries of disaster. Almost all the prisons in the United States have been set up by them. With the activation of the sky-reaching giant, the passageways were directly opened. Millions of criminals, all of their negative emotions, crazily poured into this world. Chun Zhao didn't dare to be careless. He took out his black trident. The giant in front of him was definitely qualified to make him go all out. The giant suddenly threw a punch at Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao leaped up and dodged the punch. In an instant, the ground was torn apart and everything within a radius of 1,000 meters was completely destroyed. Everyone was dumbfounded by what they saw. This war had already surpassed their imagination and understanding. It had subverted their worldview. Holding the black trident, Chun Zhao also slashed viciously. He chopped off the giant's arm. After cutting off the giant's arm, the dark lava on Chun Zhao's body immediately wrapped around the arm. The giant flew back a few steps. As long as the passageways still existed, he had endless power. But he'd been injured by the black trident, so his arm didn't recover immediately. The black trident had been modified by Old Turtle. It was embedded with Old Turtle's inner core, an immortalized one at that. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that it was a god-killing weapon. In fact, it was a god-killing weapon. So, killing a few small monsters was naturally not a problem. When the giant looked at Chun Zhao and the black trident in his hand, fear appeared in its eyes. Clearly, he'd understood after one move. The black trident in Chun Zhao's hand could really kill him. Holding the black trident upside down, Chun Zhao yanked it upward. Strengthened by the black trident, the terrifying power turned into an arc of light that flashed through the air. Rip! The arc directly chopped off the entire arm of the sky-raising giant. Chun Zhao used the same trick again. Dark lava wrapped around the arm that had fallen off again. But while the dark lava covered the giant's arm, it wasn't easy to digest and assimilate. Seeing that Chun Zhao had stopped, the giant immediately counterattacked. Seeing that Chun Zhao had stopped, the giant immediately counterattacked. He lifted his huge leg and swept it across. Who? In an instant, everything within a radius of several thousand meters was flattened. The people 10,000 meters away were barely able to withstand the impact of the gale by relying on Helitha's bone wall. But after the gale, the bone wall also disintegrated. On the other hand, Chun Zhao, who was within the range of the giant's attack, felt thousands of times stronger. Still in the air, Chun Zhao was kicked away again. Chun Zhao left a shocking ditch in the path he flew out. The battle between the two sides had reached the point where it could destroy the heavens and the earth. Both sides went all out. Finally, the giant's arm was digested. Chun Zhao regained his energy. Once again, Chun Zhao counterattacked. This time, it was even fiercer. Chun Zhao swept the black trident toward the giant's neck. The giant's head flew into the air and was caught by Chun Zhao. Just like before, he assimilated and devoured it. But the giant didn't fall. He was in human form, but he wasn't human, nor was he a living creature. So, the weaknesses of humans and most living creatures weren't weaknesses to him. The battle between the two sides had already destroyed half of the alternate dimension. This alternate dimension was hundreds of square kilometers. Thousands of disaster messengers had spent decades to open it up. If they were given another 100 years, perhaps this place would really form a small world. But there were no ifs, because Chun Zhao wouldn't give them the chance. Chun Zhao's attacks became fiercer and fiercer. The giant found it hard to defend. The giant was already weak in terms of strength. Plus, Chun Zhao's black trident was a killing weapon. As Chun Zhao kept devouring the giant's body parts, he became more and more powerful. As the battle went on, The giant was already showing signs of defeat. Chapter 21:36. The giant was starting to show signs of losing, but the battle was longer than he had imagined. The giant's strength wasn't just its invincible power. It was also because it had the world's largest source of evil behind it. This source of evil also brought him near limitless power. It was probably the most tenacious enemy Chun Zhao had ever faced. Even the black trident in Chun Zhao's hand couldn't deal fatal damage to it. The black trident's greatest effect was to stop vitality. But the giant before him wasn't a living thing. Here, he could remove the injured parts at will. Therefore, this also delayed the battle. But it was only temporary. As time went on, Chun Zhao would only get stronger. The giant kept absorbing the negative emotions of the prisoners in the 4,000-odd prisons in the U.S. Then Chun Zhao would cut off parts of the giant's body and devour them. Originally, Chun Zhao's body would be gold after transforming into Jin. By now, Chun Zhao's body had gradually turned from gold to black. This was because the effect of dark assimilation was starting to surpass that of Jin. The towering giant in front of them was simply too huge. In terms of energy level, it was even stronger than Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao felt like he was almost there. He was about to reach his limit. If he continued, he might get indigestion. It was a pity, but Chun Zhao still planned to end it. It seemed like this process could increase his power limitlessly. Actually, it wasn't possible. For one, there was a limit to his current level. Moreover, the source of this power was the prisoners in the prison. He kept absorbing their negative emotions. In fact, he was absorbing their energy. No one's energy was limitless. If he only absorbed for a while, it would at most make the prisoners listless. But if this continued, the prisoners would die for sure. No matter how cruel Chun Zhao was, he didn't want millions of people to die. So, he didn't want to keep delaying. He wanted to end this war. Chun Zhao deactivated dark assimilation. At the same time, the dark magma spread out completely. Instantly, the dark magma spread out and turned into the sky. It covered the entire world. Of course, this included the sky-high giant. The giant looked up at the sky. He knew what he was facing. He punched with all his might, trying to break through the darkness. However, the dark magma had already devoured too much of his power. Even if Chun Zhao didn't do anything himself, Chun Zhao would still be able to do it. The dark magma alone was enough to suppress the sky-reaching giant. "It's over," Helith said calmly. She hadn't seen Chun Zhao fight in a long time. She remembered that during the last underground exploration, she didn't go with them because of her personal attributes. Later, it was said that they met the elemental Sun Armand Didier underground. Chun Zhao even started a grand battle with Amanda Didier. She had been upset for a long time because of this. And now, Chun Zhao was fighting the giant. It showed her how powerful Chun Zhao was. When the dark magma fell, he had nowhere to run. The dark magma was like a piece of cloth covering the giant's body. The giant struggled in the dark magma. But in the end, under the black curtain, all struggles were futile. The dark magma began to shrink, and the giant began to struggle even more violently. However, the struggle didn't last long before it returned to normal. The dark magma was corrosive. Of course, to be more precise, it was digestion. The nature of the dark magma was similar to stomach acid. However, the food they digested was completely different. The world started to collapse. Chun Zhao returned to Helith's side. Right now, Morocco Bick, Toddy Belster, Daniel, and Anto Trezek were all looking at Chun Zhao in awe. Chun Zhao glanced at them and then said to Helith, "We should leave. Mr. Chun, Boss Chun, take us with you." Morocco Bick looked at Chun Zhao pleadingly. Seeing the collapsing world in the distance, they felt fear from the bottom of their hearts. This was actually the collapse of the alternate dimension. It would only expel creatures out of the dimension. When those things existed, they maintained this place. Now, Chun Zhao had destroyed them. The power to maintain this place was gone. This place wasn't destroyed. It just returned to chaos. It was like a drop of water falling into the ocean. Chun Zhao reached out. "Hold my hand," he said. Everyone hurriedly grabbed Chun Zhao's arm. Chun Zhao felt it was a pity that the tunnels had been destroyed along with the collapse of the alternate dimension. However, Chun Zhao didn't plan on using his own power to maintain this alternate dimension. It was too huge. Maintaining it would consume a lot of Chun Zhao's immortal power. The moment the alternate dimension collapsed in front of Chun Zhao's figure flashed, tearing through the air. Countless distorted images flashed before everyone's eyes. When they opened their eyes again, they'd return to the normal world. Boom! There was an explosion in the prison. The moment Chun Zhao appeared, he'd shattered a portion of the building. Alarms rang in the prison. Both the prisoners and the prison guards were in chaos. Helith, bring him back to the headquarters. The rest will be in God's hands, Chun Zhao said, pointing at Anto Trezek. Helith glanced at the other three. A ball of black air appeared in her hand. If you tell anyone about what happened today, trust me, you'll encounter something even more terrifying than what's inside. The three of them looked at Helis with trepidation. Boss Chun, then what about me? Morocco Bick looked at Chun Zhao. Forget about the money you owe me. I'll also arrange for a lawyer to bail you out under the name of medical parole. Also, you have to pay the bail this time. If you dare to waste my money again, I'll throw you into hell. Don't doubt if I can do it. I don't dare. I don't dare. Morocco Bick hurriedly waved his hands. Chun Zhao's gaze landed on Toddy Belster again. Come with me. I have something to ask you. Chun Zhao brought Toddy, Anto Trezek, and Helith out of Prison 7. As for the chaos he'd caused, it wasn't in his consideration at all. Toddy and Anto Trezek were terrified. They didn't know what Chun Zhao was going to do to them. Did the psionic team contact you? Chun Zhao asked, looking at Toddy Belster. Psionic team? Who? Bookmark for easier reading. Chapter 2137. You've received an invitation, right? Chun Zhao asked. Invitation? Oh, I remember now. Toddy didn't dare to hide anything from Chun Zhao. He hurriedly said, Boss Chun, that invitation has something to do with you? It's from my enemy, Chun Zhao said calmly. Then I'll turn them down right away. Toddy Belster had perfected the art of saying what was right and what was wrong. Of course, this sentence was also from the bottom of his heart, putting aside the fact that he was a fake spiritualist. Even if he really had the ability, he didn't want to be Chun Zhao's enemy. The person before him was a real monster. In fact, Toddy felt that monsters were much cuter than Chun Zhao. No, I hope he can join them. Chun Zhao's expression was indifferent. It was as if he was letting Toddy make the decision. In reality, Toddy didn't have a second choice. But, Boss Chun, you said it yourself, that's your enemy, right? I'm not even a fringe character. If I hide beside that psionic team, it'll be easy for me to be exposed. As long as you wear the ring, they won't suspect you. There are a few dangerous places in LA. I'll help you clean them up. Then, you can take credit. I don't think anyone will suspect you. And you can help me pass on some internal information about the psionic team. Chun Zhao nodded. That's right. Toddy Belster was hesitant, her expression uncertain. He couldn't help but sneak a look at Chun Zhao. He wanted to see Chun Zhao's expression. In any case, the risk of such a thing was too great. If he was exposed, the psionic team definitely wouldn't let him go. But if he rejected Chun Zhao's request, what would Chun Zhao do to him? Toddy didn't dare to imagine. If you accept, Chun Zhao said, I'll give you enough money to spend for the rest of your life after this. Talking about feelings with a liar was a complete waste of his time. What did a liar need? Money, of course. It was more practical for Chun Zhao to talk about money directly. Toddy waited for the second half of Chun Zhao's sentence, but he didn't say it. The second half of the sentence was a threat. Chun Zhao didn't need to say anything. It was up to Toddy Belster to experience it himself. All right, I'll agree to your request. In the end, Toddy Belster didn't dare to say the words of refusal. He did not dare to imagine what kind of revenge he would face if he rejected Chun Zhao's request. Some things were just like that. The more vague they were, the more awe-inspiring they were. Chun Zhao smiled. You'll receive a check soon. Do things for me and don't play any tricks with me. The last person who betrayed me already made me very unhappy. I don't want a second one. What happened to the last person who betrayed you? I'm a law-abiding citizen, Chun Zhao said helplessly, shrugging. In reality, Chun Zhao couldn't afford to offend the behemoth behind Yonghua. However, Chun Zhao said it in a euphemistic way. But when Toddy Belster heard it, she felt her hair stand on end. Chun Zhao and Hallie's left with Anto Trezek. Only Toddy Belster was left standing there. At that moment, a headlight appeared on the road in the distance. A car was approaching from afar. The car stopped in front of Toddy Belster. Then Vistana and Yonghua hurried out of the car. Mr. Toddy, are you okay? I'm fine. I'm great. Prison 7. What happened there? Vistana looked at the prison in the distance. Although they were far away, they could still hear the siren of the 7th prison clearly. Nothing. Toddy Belster guessed that the two were probably from the psionic team. He thought about their words and actions before entering Prison 7. He was now sure that Vistana and Yonghua were from the psionic team. Mr. Toady, did you encounter anything out of the ordinary in Prison 7? I did, but it's already taken care of, Toddy Belster said calmly. Vistana and Yonghua glanced at each other. Yonghua said, Can you tell us in detail about the situation there? A group of unclean souls that missed the human world and plotted a scheme, but don't worry. It's fine now. Even though Yonghua asked him to explain in detail, Toddy Belster still kept it simple. He didn't know the details in the first place. He only had a vague idea of the general situation. Mr. Toddy, you took care of it? I'm tired. I need a place to rest, Toddy Belster said calmly. If you don't mind, you can rest at our headquarters. Okay. Yonghua and Vistana were both delighted. After all, it was a good start. They didn't expect to rope Toddy Belster in just by providing a place to stay. However, since Toddy didn't reject them, it meant that he wasn't against it. In fact, Toddy was panicking too, but he couldn't show it. As a liar, he couldn't take both sides, especially when Chun Zhao knew his true colors. He could only choose to get close to Chun Zhao. The consequences of betraying Chun Zhao were obvious. Every time he thought of Chun Zhao's calm smile, he shuddered. Sitting in the back seat of Yonghua and Vistana's car, Toddy Belster's expression was unsettled. Yonghua and Vistana thought that Toddy had something to worry about. Mr. Toddy, is something wrong? Maybe we can help you. It's nothing. Previously, that thing set up a channel in all the prisons in the United States, specifically to absorb the negative emotions of all the prisoners in the prison as a source of its own power. Although I stopped it this time, there's no guarantee that other ambitious people won't do the same thing. Yonghua and Vistana were slightly surprised. So this was the purpose of these people. They'd been guessing before, even though they knew that the plan wasn't child's play. But after hearing Toddy Belster's words, he was still shocked. Mr. Toddy, don't worry. Our organization has high authority. We'll deal with it and stop it completely. That's for the best. I don't want the same thing to happen again. Luckily, I stopped it this time. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Chapter 2138. Look at this. Vistana handed a document to Yonghua. After reading it, Yonghua gave it to Brits. Since that night, more than 1,000 prisoners have died in various prisons across the United States, and the number of prisoners who are unconscious has reached 50,000. Our people have gone to check some of the unconscious prisoners, and they seem to have used up too much of their mental strength. Seems like Mr. Toady didn't exaggerate. Luckily, it's Mr. Toady again. Otherwise, there might be more serious consequences. Mr. Toady hasn't come out of his room in the past 2 days. No. He even asked us to send his meals to his room. I don't know what he's doing there. Isn't there surveillance equipment in his room? Do you think I dare to place surveillance equipment in his room? Vistana glanced at Yonghua and Brits. Brits and Yonghua thought about it. Indeed, if they placed surveillance equipment in Toddy Belster's room, it would be a provocation. For someone of his level, it would be a provocation. What they needed now was Toddy Belster's help. If they rashly monitored someone like Toddy Belster and made him angry, it wouldn't be worth it. Nevertheless, they had their own guesses. Toddy Belster must have been injured in the battle in the 7th prison. Thus, he'd been hiding in his room to heal. It was close to Christmas. After a few shopping sprees, Los Angeles suddenly became much more depressed. Just like those cities in China, they would become extremely deserted during the Chinese New Year. No matter how prosperous a city was, it would become sparsely populated. Fei Lai was on vacation too. She went shopping with Chun Zhao and the kids every day. There were also many things to buy at home. Fortunately, Xin Li was back. Otherwise, Chun Zhao, Fei Lai, and Portia wouldn't be able to control so many kids. Little Larissa and little Jerlin were two little devils, let alone little Larissa. The other slightly older children were also mischievous. However, Chun Zhao didn't think that it was normal for kids to be mischievous. It would be abnormal if they didn't have a mischievous face every day. Chun, did you prepare the kids' Christmas presents? I asked Portia to prepare them. That's too much. How can you ask someone else to prepare the presents? You have to prepare them yourself. But Portia has already bought it. I don't care. No matter how well-prepared Portia is, you have to put in the effort and prepare for it yourself, Fei Lai said relentlessly. All right. Chun Zhao was very lazy, so lazy that he didn't even bother to think about giving gifts to the children. But since Fei Lai said so, what else could he do? He could only do as he was told. Uncle, I'll go with you. Didi walked to Chun Zhao's side. When Fei Lai was scolding Chun Zhao, she was right beside him. She also knew that Chun Zhao was an insensitive person. If Chun Zhao went to pick a gift, he probably wouldn't get a result the next day. She also understood that it wasn't that Chun Zhao didn't care about them. Chun Zhao took care of their lives and bodies to the extreme. However, Chun Zhao wasn't a very understanding person. So, Didi felt that she had to give Chun Zhao advice. Didi La is still the best. What gift do you want? Tell me later. Whatever you want, Uncle will buy it for you. Didi smiled bitterly. Sometimes, Chun Zhao's EQ was really low. After Chun Zhao and Didi left, they went directly to the mall in town. At the entrance of the mall, Chun Zhao parked the car. Didi was waiting for Chun Zhao at the door. When Chun Zhao came over, he saw some children surrounding Didi. The Daira took out her wallet and handed $2 bills to the child in front of her. The children handed 2 folded flowers to Didi La. Chun Zhao walked over and looked at the children who had already left. Are those children from the orphanage? Usually, the children from the orphanage would come out on holidays and sell some handicrafts. Most handicrafts were very crude and cheap, but buyers usually didn't care about their actual value. People who were willing to buy these things didn't do it for the so-called cheap and good quality. No, those children aren't orphans. Didi shook her head. Then who are they? They're here to collect money, but it's for the Leukemia Foundation. Their teacher is over there. Chun Zhao followed Didi's finger and saw that the children were surrounding a man wearing glasses and plain clothes. The man looked gentle and kind, which made people have a good impression of him. Familiarity was indeed a strange thing. Some people would make people hate them at first glance, while others would make people feel good about them at first glance. The man wasn't exactly handsome, but he did give people a good impression. The children surrounded him, and their faces were also filled with joy. The man seemed to feel Chun Zhao's gaze. He looked at Chun Zhao and nodded slightly. It's almost Christmas. Are you still in school? That man should be a trusteeship teacher or a kind of private tutor, Didi said. When my parents were still alive, we lived in the city for a while. Because they didn't have time to take care of me, they entrusted me to a private trusteeship teacher. Is this kind of trusteeship legal? Chun Zhao asked, confused. Of course it's legal, of course. First, you have to have a teacher certificate. Secondly, most of the courses taught by the entrusted teachers are not academic courses, but enlightenment and moral guidance. That man just now should be considered as an amateur entrusted teacher. He is a teacher himself, and he uses his holidays to take in entrusted students and bring them out to do some charity work. The fees for this are very low. A child only costs about $10 a day. Even if you put them at home, it might cost more than $10. Chun Zhao nodded, but he definitely didn't plan on finding a trusteeship teacher. Chun Zhao felt that it was very necessary for children to go to school. School wasn't just a place to teach. It was also a place for children to socialize. It wasn't that Chun Zhao couldn't afford a private tutor, but a private tutor couldn't teach children how to socialize. In the United States, There were many examples of wealthy families hiring private tutors from elementary school to high school. That child's grades were very good. He even got into a top-ranked university without going to school for a day. But after entering university, he couldn't survive and live in school. They all suffered from social phobia. They didn't know how to socialize with their families and teachers at all. In the mall, Chun Zhao and Didi saw the male teacher and the children again. Chapter 21:39. They were sitting outside an ice cream shop. The male teacher was handing out ice cream to the kids he'd brought over. When the teacher saw Chun Zhao and Didira, he was stunned at first, but then he nodded. Mr. Clive, hello. Hello, Didira. The teacher called Clive, greeted Didira. This is my uncle, Didira said. Clive looked at the two large shopping carts that Chun Zhao was pulling. They were all filled with gifts. Do you need help? Thank you, but no, Chun Zhao declined politely. Okay, sit down and rest. I'll treat you to ice cream. Chun Zhao thought about it and accepted Clive's suggestion. It must be hard to take care of so many kids, Chun Zhao asked, smiling. It's okay. I don't think it's too hard. Clive looked at the kids playing beside him. Concern flashed in his eyes. Clive, do you like kids? I envy what others have even more if I lack something. My wife and I can't have children, Clive said calmly. However, Chun Zhao could hear the disappointment in his voice. Oh, have you seen a doctor? Clive shrugged helplessly. I'm born with great sperm. She's born without eggs. Chun Zhao said, I feel helpless too. Feilai's condition was that she couldn't have children, but she was better off than Mr. and Mrs. Cliff. At least she still had eggs. Chun Zhao had thought that he could give Clive some suggestions or treatment with his medical skills. But Clive's words cut off this path. It was like a lucky ring that could increase the chances of winning a lottery. But the couple didn't have lottery money, so they couldn't win. After chatting casually for a while, Chun Zhao left with Didira. Clive also left with the kids. In the evening, Clive returned home. Clive's house was quite big. He had some money. Being a seasoned teacher was actually a hobby of his, and it wasn't for the sake of profit. As soon as he reached the door, he smelled a pungent smell from home. Clive quickly pushed the door open and entered. He saw his wife, Anpa, brewing a magic potion. Anpa, you're brewing a magic potion again? Magic can't solve our problem. This is the fundamental problem. Don't you understand? This is the essence of the water spirit of the West Sea. I found it on the black market. It's very rare. It's said that the essence of the water spirit can promote fertility. If I add it to my new potion formula, it will greatly increase our success rate. Clive was also helpless against his wife's obsession, which was almost demonic. In fact, they all knew the truth. However, Ampa was even more unwilling to accept this fact. She was still immersed in her self-created fantasy. It was like a drowning person grabbing onto anything as if it was a life-saving straw. At this moment, a few of Ampa's students walked in from the backyard. Clive's face darkened when he saw the students' dejected faces. Ampa, did you ask them to find magic herbs for you again? They can't even recognize all kinds of magical herbs. Some magical herbs are deadly to them, Clive reprimanded. No, you underestimate them too much, Ampa said. They're all my students. They're not as incompetent as you think. Evelyn, take them to wash up and change clothes, Clive said helplessly. Evelyn was the oldest of Ampa's students, and the most sensible one. Of course, the other children were not young either. However, Evelyn and the other children had been brought up by the two of them. They were also very reliant on them. They would not refuse anything Ampa said, and they all knew what Ampa and Clive wanted. In fact, in the early days, Clive had tried almost everything like Ampa. It was said that a curse that would make people continuously give birth was effective. He found the curse and used it on himself and his wife. It was said that there was a country of women in Huaxia. In the country of women, there was a Zimu River. Drinking a mouthful of the river water could make people pregnant. They had also looked for it. Then there was the blessing of the Virgin Mary, followed by the mysterious rituals of the Druids. In short, they had tried all kinds of magic. But in the end, they were only disappointed again and again. In the end, Clive was the first to give up hope. But Ampa was still the same. Clive looked at the boiling green liquid in the big iron pot. Clive only felt nauseous. In the past, he had also crazily taken these magic potions. Ampa was still casting spells on the magic potion. She kept chanting the incantation of magic. The green liquid boiled even more intensely. After 10 minutes of casting, the liquid in the iron pot finally stopped boiling. Ampa took a porcelain bowl and scooped up a spoonful. Then, with an incomparably pious attitude, she poured the green liquid into her mouth. Life in the water, please grant me the miracle of life. Let the vitality of nature fill my body. Let me give birth to a new life for you. Although Clive did not believe it, after Ampa drank the magic potion, he still had some hope. Clive kept looking at Ampa. The other children also looked at Ampa. After waiting for 10 minutes, Clive asked, "Is there a reaction?" Ampa silently put down the porcelain bowl and shook her head. "Not yet. Maybe it will take a while." Although Ampa often tried and experimented with new methods, as if she was obsessed, but other times she was more normal. In the neighborhood, she looked just like an ordinary housewife. "Ampa, why don't we go out on a trip? The children haven't been out for a long time. Where do you think we should go?" "Wherever you want to go, we'll go. I'll think about it and give you an answer." Ampa was not very interested, although she said that she might have to wait for a while. In fact, she already knew that the magic potion had no effect. Ampa was not interested in anything. It seemed that children were the only important thing in her life. Of course, people with children could not understand Ampa's desire and obsession for children. "Maybe you should open a cram school again," Clive said. Ampa used to be a teacher, and the spiritualist was just her secret identity. However, after finding out that she was infertile, as a result, Anpa completely gave up his identity as a teacher and focused on giving birth to a child. In her opinion, only by having a child herself could she be considered a real woman. She even consulted an organization that studied stem cell cultivation of eggs, but the organization said that the technology was not mature yet and would not conduct clinical trials for the time being. Even if Ampa said that she could be used as a human subject at will, it would not be a problem. Chapter 2140. On Christmas Eve, the family got together, which was rare. Because Portia was alone, Feilai also asked her to stay for the new year. Chun Zhao was unhappy, but it was fine as long as Feilai was happy. Having an outsider in the family was always awkward. The people from the supernatural organization all called or sent messages to Chun Zhao to wish him well. Chun Zhao also replied to them one by one. Just then, he received a call from Toddy Belster. But he wasn't here to send his blessings. He was here to ask for help. "Boss Chun, help!" Toddy Belster cried in a hoarse voice. His tone was filled with fear and helplessness. "What's wrong? Exposed?" Chun Zhao replied as he waved at the children. "No, they're going to a place called Black Hell tonight. They said they're going to kill Evil Lord there." Of course, Toddy was referring to the psionic team. A few days ago, under Westana's sincere invitation, Toddy Belster joined the psionic team with some reluctance. At the same time, he became the vice leader of the team. Surprisingly, everyone in the psionic ability team actually approved of his position. No one thought that it was unreasonable for a newcomer to have such a high position. Instead, they thought that it was natural for Toddy to become the vice leader. This mainly had to do with Westana, Yanghua, and Britz's promotion of Toddy's achievements in the past few days. He'd entered LA's 7th prison alone and actually walked out alive. This was already something that was close to impossible. Moreover, he'd permanently solved the long-standing problem of the 7th prison. No matter how one looked at it, Toddy was someone they couldn't afford to offend. Thus, in the headquarters of the psionic team, anyone who saw Toddy on the road would respectfully call him master. For the first 2 days, Toddy was a bit smug. He felt that as long as he hid well, they wouldn't find him. Moreover, the benefits provided by the psionic team weren't something he could compare to as a con artist. Did he need to buy any magic materials? Oh, would 1 million be enough? Did he need to buy any magic tools? Oh, would 2 million be enough? The psionic team seemed to have an endless supply of money, and they would give him whatever he wanted. They gave Toddy Belster as much as he wanted. But as he held it, Toddy Belster suddenly sobered up, not knowing if his brain had cramp. This money was poisonous. The more he took, the more he would die in the future. This was not the same as the deceived people in the past who he could take whatever he wanted. Most of these people were superhumans who could evaporate others. Then he began to panic and fear, and the thing that he was most worried about finally happened. It was tonight. It was Christmas Eve. Black hell. What kind of place is that? Just from the sound of it, it didn't sound like a decent place. It felt like he was going to die. More importantly, West Anna had only arranged for one person to follow Toddy Belster. If there were too many people, it would be a burden to Master Toddy Belster. He only wanted an errand boy to follow him. Furthermore, he had repeatedly warned him not to interfere with a master's battle. If you see an enemy, try to keep your distance from Toddy Belster. For a moment, Toddy Belster almost thought she had been exposed. Would they try to make him disappear from the face of the earth? The more Toddy Belster thought about it, the more afraid she became. Do I have to confess? Then ask them for forgiveness? Forget it. No matter how I look at them, they don't look like law-abiding good citizens. This follower who was supposed to be his guide was probably someone they had arranged to keep an eye on him. If he tried to escape, he would immediately kill him. After thinking about it, Toddy Belster still decided to ask Chun Zhao for help. Using the excuse of going to the washroom, Toddy Belster asked Chun Zhao for help. Isn't your psionic team working a little too hard? It's Christmas Eve. Shouldn't you be celebrating the New Year properly on Christmas Eve? Do you really have to come out and make trouble? Boss Chun, I admire the supernatural organization. I hate this psionic team. I won't work with them, let alone our psionic team. Although Toddy Belster had been trying to get away, these few days he had not. He had probably figured out the relationship between the supernatural organization and the psionic team. To put it bluntly, the supernatural organization was the orthodox organization, and the psionic ability team was their trusted follower. The psionic ability team wanted to replace the supernatural organization, but they were afraid of Chun Zhao's power. Therefore, he had always been in an awkward position. Thinking of Chun Zhao's inhuman or even supernatural power, Toddy Belster felt that he still had a higher chance of winning by following Chun Zhao. Of course, if Chun Zhao failed, he could still switch sides. I heard that Black Hell only opens once a year, which is tonight. Chun Zhao cursed. What kind of bastard set the time? But he had to admit that the owner of Black Hell was really smart. At this time, even spiritualists would probably be busy celebrating the holidays. No one had the time to care about Black Hell. Forget it. Who asked Toddy Belster to be the one who arranged it? He couldn't just watch him go to his death. Chun Zhao thought helplessly. Just then, Didi ran to Chun Zhao's side. Uncle, come and eat. Okay, I'm coming. Chun Zhao sat down at the table and continued his call. Where are you? I'm hiding in the washroom. No, I mean your destination. I think it's near Death Valley, Toddy Belster said. We're at a gas station on the highway. Death Valley National Park was a famous scenic spot. It was in California, a few hundred kilometers away from Los Angeles. How long until we get to Death Valley? About 3 hours. Okay, send me your coordinates when we get there. Got it. Toddy Belster was still worried. After all, Chun Zhao hadn't appeared before him yet. Who knew if he would kill him along the way? Knock, knock, knock. Master Belster, are you done? You've been inside for 15 minutes. We're in a bit of a rush. We need to get to the entrance of Black Hell before 1 in the morning after Christmas Eve. Okay, Toddy Belster said impatiently. I'm coming out now. The attendant could hear the dissatisfaction in Toddy's tone. Seeing him walk out of the washroom with a dark expression, he couldn't help but show some respect. Master Toddy, I'm sorry. We really need to hurry. We didn't mean to rush you. Chapter 2141. Fuck, this is a foreigner's New Year's Eve dinner. Can't they stop for a while? Looking for trouble in the middle of the night? That's enough. Thankfully, the kids had already gone to bed. After saying goodbye to Fei Lai, Chun Zhao left unhurriedly. After all, it was Christmas Eve. Chun Zhao really didn't have the mood to go out. So, he dragged his feet when he went out. West, what's Black Hell? Have you heard of it? Chun Zhao called West. Yeah, it only appeared a few years ago. Apparently, it's the lair of Satanism. Those cultists again. Don't you think there's something wrong with their brains? there's really a lot of people with brains. According to a research organization, there are about 5 million people in America who have bad beliefs. Close to 1 million people believe in cults. Among them, there might be 800,000 fanatics. So you're saying that the people in Black Hell aren't demons or ghosts, but a bunch of people with brains? Chen Zhao asked. I don't know the specifics, but it seems to be completely locked down. Some supernatural organizations sent people there, and then there's no news of them. So troublesome. Chen Zhao had a headache. President, it seems like you're going to find trouble with Black Hell. Didn't I just arrange for that Toddy Belster to go undercover? Now that he has received this mission, if I don't care about him, he probably won't be able to come back. No matter what, he is someone I arranged. I can't just watch him die. Do you want us to do it for you? Forget it. You can celebrate the new year in peace. To foreigners, it was the biggest holiday of the year. Chen Zhao wasn't that important. After all, he was a Chinese. The Spring Festival was the biggest holiday for Chinese. However, it was important to spend time with family. This was why Chen Zhao was unhappy. Chen Zhao sped on the road in his sports car. Fine, racing was illegal and dangerous to the public. However, Chen Zhao had an even more violent method. He could just fly, but Chen Zhao wanted to stall for time. There was no one on the streets. There were no cars either. After all, it was Christmas Eve. Chen Zhao drove as fast as he could. With Chen Zhao's reaction speed and Little World's ability to predict the road ahead, therefore, there was no possibility of a car suddenly appearing out of nowhere and causing the car to crash and people to die. However, when he drove out of the city, he saw someone walking on the side of the road, and it was someone he knew. To be precise, he had met her once. After a series of roars, the sports car stopped by the roadside. Hi, Miss Lindsay. Lindsay Beyonce was not happy at the moment. When he saw Chen Zhao, his expression became even more displeased. After all, he had promised to teach Chen Zhao and West a lesson last time. In the end, he was one-sidedly abused by West. Fuck off, or I'll beat you up, Lin Beyonce said unhappily. Chen Zhao looked at the unhappy Lindsay Beyonce, but he didn't seem to care at all. Is there something you're unhappy about? Tell me and make me happy. Are you really looking for a beating? Where are you going? Can I give you a ride? You want to fuck me? Chen Zhao's face darkened. Even if I want to fuck you, now is not the time. This young master still has business to attend to. However, Chen Zhao clearly wasn't in a hurry for business. Chen Zhao studied Lin Beyonce from head to toe. Her figure and face were worlds apart from Fei Lai. She didn't even know how to dress up. Plus, she was dirty after fooling around. She looked like a tramp. I want to fuck you? What gave you the confidence? Sensing Chen Zhao's malicious and disdainful gaze, Lin Beyonce was even more displeased. She'd already offended him once. She didn't mind doing it again. Leave the car. I'll drive it for a few days and return it to you. With that, Lin Beyonce reached out to grab Chen Zhao, wanting to throw him down. But before Lin Beyonce could translate, she felt the world spin and was thrown to the side of the road. Lin Beyonce was dazed. She sat on the ground, clutching her head. It took her a while to recover. You're a spiritualist too? West, who beat you up that day, is my subordinate. Why do you think I'm not? Chen Zhao asked, amused. Lin Beyonce only wanted to find a hole to hide in now. This was too shameful, too shameful. She thought that Chen Zhao was rich and that West had been recruited because of his money. But things were different from what she'd imagined. It's so late and you're still wandering on the road. It's Christmas Eve, right? It's none of your business. Lin Beyonce stood up and patted the dust off her body. She didn't want to waste time with Chen Zhao anymore. The exchange just now had made her realize that she definitely couldn't beat Chen Zhao. Did your uncle kick you out? Chen Zhao asked. Lin Beyonce paused. I left on my own. It's none of his business. Tell me what's going on. Chen Zhao's car followed Lin Beyonce slowly. Don't follow me. You're annoying, Lin Beyonce said. She was about to leave the road and walk toward the wasteland. But her legs seemed to be stuck in a swamp. She couldn't walk out no matter what. What happened? Damn it. Put away your disgusting spell. If you don't tell me, you can't go anywhere. Lin Beyonce wanted to continue resisting, but she still couldn't move. A black liquid flowed under her feet. It was extremely sticky. Fine. I ran away from home. Lynn Beyonce said dejectedly. You're an adult. Are you going to live on the streets after running away from home? I have a plan. What plan? Tell me. I received an invitation from a supernatural organization. Invitation? Probably a psionic team. Did you join? No. When they sent me the invitation, they talked a lot about how they needed me to join them. But when I arrived, some bastard said that not everyone could join them and that I had to go through a test. After the test, he said that I was too weak to join them. Don't you think they were messing with me? What's your plan now? Plan? Lynn Beyonce was very conflicted. Go back and apologize to her uncle? How old was he? This was too shameful. But if she didn't go back, would she just live on the streets? It was Christmas Eve. Did she have to be so miserable? I have high hopes for you. How about joining our organization? Chapter 2142. Lynn Beyonce looked at Chun Zhao in disdain. In her opinion, someone as proactive as Chun Zhao probably came from a low-class organization. Especially after going to the psionic team's headquarters, the futuristic headquarters gave people the feeling that it was rich and powerful. Looking at Chun Zhao, it didn't look like a powerful organization at all. But considering her current situation, she had to accept Chun Zhao's invitation, or she had to live on the streets. She had to either accept Chun Zhao's invitation or live on the streets. Even if she didn't think about the future, she had to at least take care of her own food and clothing. After thinking for a while, Lindsay said hesitantly, "My price isn't low." Oh, what price? Chun Zhao thought about it. If Lindsay Beyonce asked for too much, he would reject her directly. If it was more than $1 million, she would have to go back to where she came from. Lindsay wasn't worth that much money. To be honest, her abilities were indeed average. Chun Zhao had invited her because of her outstanding performance in the fight with Wes last time. Therefore, even if he offered some money now, it would be an investment for Lindsay's future, not her current self. And if Lindsay Beyonce wanted to reach the level of Jolin Ash and Hallie's, the supernatural organization would need to invest a lot of money. Therefore, Lynn Beyonce did not have much value. She had the possibility of a future, but that also meant that she might become an average person. $10,000. I mean my salary. If it's less than that, don't think I'll work for you. Lindsay stared at Chun Zhao. Seeing Chun Zhao's shocked expression, her heart skipped a beat. Did she ask too much? Damn it. If she knew, she wouldn't have asked so much. Of course, if you're sincere, we can discuss further, Lynn Beyonce added before Chun Zhao could reply. Do you know the average salary of our members? How much? $60,000. Even a guard can get $30,000 a month. Lynn Beyonce almost spat. So Chun Zhao's expression wasn't because he'd asked for a high price. It was because she'd asked too little. Lynn Beyonce wanted to cry. Don't tell me he's only paying me $10,000 a month? If that was the case, should he accept it or not? I'm so conflicted. If I have this salary, Uncle's pressure will be much less. Probation period is 3 months. If you have the ability to become an official member, the salary will start at $40,000. What do you think? How do I make it official? In 3 months, when your strength is sufficient, you can become an official member. Sure. Get in. You won't lie to me, right? Then you tricked me in your car, took me somewhere, and assaulted me. Chun Zhao's face darkened. Lynn Beyonce was swept up by the dark lava and stuffed into the trunk. 10 minutes later, he arrived outside the headquarters. He then opened the trunk. Lynn Beyonce jumped out of the trunk. He raised his fist and punched Chun Zhao's face. But Chun Zhao reached out and grabbed it. What do you want to do to me? Just then, everyone in the headquarters heard the noise and ran out. When they saw Lynn Beyonce, they all looked at her with great interest. After all, there weren't many people who dared to treat Chun Zhao like this nowadays. More than half of the tombstones were 1 meter tall now. West, I'll leave it to you. I'm in a hurry. Chun Zhao pushed Lynn Beyonce away and got into the car. Don't go. Lynn Beyonce jumped up, trying to jump onto Chun Zhao's car. Come here. Suddenly, a huge force pulled Lynn Beyonce in the air, and she fell heavily onto the ground. Lynn Beyonce jumped up immediately. Which one of you attacked me? There were many people at the door, so she couldn't tell who had attacked her. Which one of us looks like we've fought before? Wes smiled at Lynn Beyonce. I don't care who did it. You're not good people. Lynn Beyonce yelled angrily. What did you say? Can you say it again? Suddenly, Lynn Beyonce felt a cold sensation on her neck. A knife was pressed against her neck. Doña Tienchi had appeared behind her without her knowing. Lynn Beyonce broke out in a cold sweat. What are you doing? Are you going to kill me? You're a newbie, but it's not good for a newbie to offend all the seniors. Wes smiled at Lynn Beyonce. What do you want? Lynn Beyonce also woke up. Don't make it difficult for her. Let her play in the Tower of Trials. Gaia said indifferently. I don't want to waste my Christmas Eve on a woman who doesn't know when to stop. That's a good idea. Toddy Belster sat in the car, pretending to be calm. Robert, how long until we reach Black Hell? Master Toddy, we're at the end of the road, Robert said. We need to walk for about 10 kilometers. Did Westana give you any special orders before we left? Toddy Belster tried to control his fear and asked calmly. Robert looked at Toddy in surprise. Master Toddy, I don't know what you mean. Toddy Belster didn't look like he was lying. Plus, this place was secluded enough. If he really had received orders, he could do it here. There was no need to hide anymore. Never mind, it's nothing. Master Toddy, is there something I didn't do? No, it's nothing. It's better if you don't know some things. Robert was still confused. It was better if he didn't know some things? Could it be that there was more to this operation? Master Toddy, is this operation very dangerous? Toddy Belster closed his eyes. After a long silence, he nodded heavily. Very dangerous. What kind of place is Black Hell? You should know better than me. I know. I've read all the information. Normally, even an army might not be able to eliminate it, but now the headquarters only sent the two of us. You mean? The headquarters wants us to die? It's not us, it's you. It's just you. Don't you understand? I'm the backbone of the psionic team. No matter how stupid the higher-ups are, they can't lose their most powerful force. Do you understand me? But you're different. You're the weakest in the overstaffed psionic team. The psionic team doesn't need you, but the higher-ups can't say it out loud, nor can they dissuade you for no reason. So, the best way is for you to die in battle. Chapter 2143. To put it simply, you're just cannon fodder. You'll have to be compensated with money to leave. Most importantly, you've come into contact with some of the team's secrets. It's not much, but it's still risky. But if you die here, you won't have to pay anything. The more Robert listened, the angrier he got. Why? I'm loyal to the team. How can they do this to me? I'm going to reason with them. Reason? Who are you going to reason with? Do you think I'll give you a chance? Since they don't want me, I'll leave. Come back here, Toddy Belster yelled. If you leave now, they'll have even more reason to label you as a traitor and then kill you. Toddy Belster scolded. Then what should I do? Robert was a newbie and not very strong. Plus, he was straightforward and not quick-witted. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been Toddy's assistant. He was more like a follower than an assistant. You lack someone to protect you. Someone who can protect you, Toddy Belster said. But who's willing to protect me? There's plenty of people like me in the headquarters. After 3 rounds of recruitment, there were more than 120 people in the team. Robert didn't stand out in any way. He was almost invisible. No one cared about him or paid attention to him. You could be my assistant from now on, Toddy said generously. If Wistana and the others give you trouble, I'll take care of it for you. Really? You'll protect me? Of course. Toddy put an arm around Robert's shoulder. But I hope you can listen. Of course, Master Toddy. I'll listen to you. I'll do whatever you tell me to. Toddy Belster smiled in satisfaction. They hadn't interacted much, but Toddy could still feel Robert's straightforwardness. How much farther? We need about 20 minutes, Robert answered. 20 minutes? Toddy was a bit worried. Could Chun Zhao make it in 20 minutes? They still hadn't arrived after 20 minutes because Toddy was stalling. However, no matter how much he delayed, it was impossible to delay the 20-minute journey for too long. Not long after, they arrived in front of a barren valley. Master Toddy, the crack in front is the entrance to the Black Hell. There was not a single plant in or around the valley. Everything around them was barren, and the air was still filled with the strong smell of sulfur. Toddy Belster had been secretly sending his location to Chun Zhao. Master Toady, let's go. Us? What are you going to do? Seeking death? What is that place? That's the Black Hell. If you go in, I won't be able to take care of you. Your strength is useless here, so you just wait for me here. Leave the rest to me. Toddy Belster said seriously. But Master Toddy, it's too dangerous for you to go in alone. It'll be even more dangerous if you go in with me. I'm confident that I can protect myself, but if you come with me, I'll have to divert my attention to protect you. Don't say that you don't need my protection. That's just putting on a brave front. I only hope that one day you'll be able to protect me. Not like this. Master Toddy, I'm sorry for making you suffer. It's okay. It's not a big deal. Toddy seemed magnanimous. Toddy Belster walked to the crack alone. He looked at the bottomless crack before him. It was hard for him to stop now. The crack before him was already too much for him. Toddy took out his phone and secretly sent Chun Zhao a message. Boss Chen, where are you? I'm above you, Chun Zhao replied. Make a pose to release a spell, and I'll send you in. Toddy Belster looked up at the sky. The night sky was hazy. He couldn't see anything at all. Robert looked at Toddy Belster in confusion. Is Master Toddy going to give up? Just then, Toddy Belster raised her arms high. Oh, so you're going to release a spell. Just then, a beam of white light descended from the sky and poured into the crack. Robert sucked in a breath of cold air. The originally irregular crack had turned into a circular pit, and Toddy Belster had disappeared. What spell is that? It's so powerful. Robert stared at the circular hole in shock. When would he be able to reach that level? Was this Master Toddy's true power? No, this might not be Master Toddy's true strength. Toddy Belster kept falling. In the end, he landed on a ball of black substance. It was very soft and had a faint red color. Chun Zhao lifted Toddy Belster up. If you're not dead, stand up and walk, Chun Zhao said. I'm fine. Toddy stood up immediately. Toddy Belster quickly stood up. Just then, he saw two shadows sneaking up on Chun Zhao's back. Watch out. By the time Toddy Belster gave the warning, the two shadows had already been swallowed by the dark magma. Toddy shut his mouth, embarrassed. If he could see it, how could Chun Zhao not notice such a crude sneak attack? Let's walk around. Toddy wasn't as relaxed as Chun Zhao. He saw the dark lava under Chun Zhao's feet flowing outwards. Then, a series of screams came from the front. If he heard alone, he would definitely have nightmares. Coupled with the gloomy environment, it was like a horror movie. But no matter how scary the people here were, they weren't as scary as the person beside him. In Toddy Belster's eyes, Chun Zhao was the real Demon King. Boss Chun, is there something you're unhappy about? It's Christmas Eve, Chun Zhao said with a dark expression. I don't care what problem you have next time. Don't call me on holidays, okay? Seeing Chun Zhao's cold expression, Toddy Belster was startled by the two tragic cries in front of her. Got it. Mobile version of the fastest.d website. Chapter 2144. The dark lava seeped into every room and corner. No matter where the cultists hiding here hid, they would only be swallowed by the dark lava. It wasn't Toddy Belster's first time seeing Chun Zhao in action, but every time, he felt chills down his spine. It was completely different from the people in the psionic team. Although Toddy Belster was a fake, he'd still seen some spiritualists fight. But he'd seen some spiritualists fight before. The psionic team had a training room too. He'd seen some spiritualists fight in the training room too. Being Chun Zhao's enemy was definitely a disaster. But for the cultists in Black Hell, it was a nightmare. Most of them didn't understand what was happening. The black and red liquid seeped into every corner. No matter how strong or weak they were, they couldn't avoid the only result. At the moment, in the deepest part of Black Hell, even the cultists couldn't enter here. A group of people were hiding here. They looked at the monitor in fear. The dark lava had already seeped into the upper 4 levels. All the cultists above the 4th level were swallowed by the dark lava without exception. The rest of the people continued to retreat. Among this group of people, there was a tall and sturdy man with a black crown on his head. He sat on a chair with his fists supporting his chin. The others surrounded him. "Leader, hurry, think of something. Release the devil walkers," Donim said in a low voice. The unknown liquid has already swallowed the devil walkers' prison on the 4th level. The devil walkers couldn't do anything before they were all wiped out. Hearing his subordinate's reply, Donim's expression darkened. "Damn it, what is that?" "Secmaster, I once read a devil book. It said that one of the 7 great devil kings of hell, the king of wrath, Samel, has a thing called the dark essence. Whether it's its attributes or characteristics, it's very similar to this thing. The liquid looks red. Are you sure it's the same thing? The dark serum can fuse with other attributes and have colors of other attributes, so color doesn't mean anything. The characteristics of the liquid are very similar to the dark serum described in the demon book. Are you saying that Samuel, the Lord of Wrath, is going to punish us? Maybe he's angry because we worship His Majesty Satan and not His Majesty Samuel," a follower said cautiously. After all, he wasn't sure what was going on. Therefore, most people could only speculate and were unable to come to a conclusion. At this moment, dark magma began to appear on the 5th floor. When everyone saw this scene, they couldn't help but be shocked, and worry appeared on their faces. The dark magma seemed to have a mind of its own. It knew how to infiltrate the enclosed space. It even knew how to open some locks. That was terrifying. If it was just a liquid, then many of the doors here were sealed metal doors. Even if a nuclear bomb exploded outside, it might not be able to affect the people inside. But what the cultists faced here was not an explosion. Instead, it was liquid, a liquid that permeated every pore. In fact, these liquids even possessed offensive properties. The dark magma could change its form, temporarily turning into a blade or a saw that could cut through incomparably hard metals. Moreover, after the dark magma occupied the 1st floor, it first destroyed the surveillance equipment. Let those hiding behind the surveillance cameras become blind. No one knew what exactly was going on. They also didn't know how to solve this situation. These cultists, who were used to spreading terror and despair to others, were now swallowed by terror and despair. Many of them were praying, hoping that God would save them. Of course, God wouldn't come to save them. Boom! Just then, on the screen, the isolation between the 5th and 6th floors suddenly collapsed. Large amounts of dark magma poured down. Everyone's face turned pale with fright. Chun Zhao and Toddy Belster were still strolling around. It was as if what was happening here had nothing to do with them. Chun Zhao's domain covered the entire Black Hell. There really weren't any enemies in this Black Hell worth facing. A large number of lizard monsters were summoned from Hell and then attached themselves to human bodies and smashed to pieces. There wasn't a single slightly stronger monster. Chun Zhao wasn't interested in meeting the cultists, nor was he interested in listening to their begging or threats. He'd better end the battle quickly and cut through the Gordian knot. He'd wipe out all the cultists here. Chun Zhao strolled to the collection room of the cultists. He had to admit that these nerds really had a lot of collections. Chun Zhao found a lot of magic materials here. There were also some magic tools, but they'd all been swept away by Chun Zhao now. Toddy Belster watched as Chun Zhao opened a safe. The 10-centimeter thick door was deformed by Chun Zhao's pull. Then Toddy Belster saw a sea of gold inside. There were also neatly arranged bundles of cash. Chun Zhao took a bundle of cash and tossed it to Toddy. Then he put away all the gold and cash himself. Toddy Belster silently picked up the money and didn't say anything. It was already good enough that he got the money. He didn't expect to get more. Of course, the main reason was that he didn't have the courage to ask Chun Zhao for more money. After all, he hadn't done anything. Getting was a profit. Even if Chun Zhao didn't give him anything, he wouldn't lose anything. "Let's go downstairs and see," Chun Zhao said greedily. There should be more collections. After all, he'd given up his family time to come out. If this was all he got, he wouldn't be able to live up to himself. Putting aside the magic materials and tools, there were only less than $100 million in cash and gold. There were also some collections that looked like art. Chun Zhao couldn't value them, so he planned to find someone to do it for him when he got back. Chun Zhao believed that in such a large cult base, there were definitely more things than he'd found. Chun Zhao believed that there were definitely more things in such a large cult base than what he'd found. By now, the dark lava had seeped into the 8th floor. At this moment, the dark lava had already seeped into the 8th layer. Chun Zhao pierced through all 18 floors of black hell. Without the protection of the barrier, the lava seeped even faster. Without the protection of the barrier, the lava seeped even faster. Chapter 2145. The 10th floor, the 11th floor, the 12th floor, the dark magma continued to seep downwards. Donim couldn't continue to sit in his seat. He finally stood up. I've decided to use the forbidden summoning. Everyone turned to look at Donim. There was a difference, but there was also a hint of confusion. We should have done that long ago, someone agreed. But sect leader, the forbidden summoning is too dangerous. Dangerous? At a time like this, do you think we can still care about something as dangerous as this? The eyes of the other higher-ups also flashed. As evil cultists, they didn't care about how much damage a forbidden spell could cause, unless this forbidden spell posed a threat to them. The forbidden summoning they were discussing was this spell. Summoning demons was very common among evil cultists. But not just any demon could be summoned. Some demons couldn't be controlled even if they were summoned. What they were discussing now was how to summon an uncontrollable demon. This demon was called Adipolo, a famous demon in Southeast Asia, especially in India. India was a country of diverse religions and beliefs. The mythology of their country was very complicated. Some regions even worshipped demons as gods. Adipolo was very popular in the less developed regions of northern India, as well as among the lower-class families. India had a caste system divided into 4 classes: Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vedas, and Sudras. Brahmins were the noblest caste, while Sudras were naturally the lowest. But there was a rumor that there was another surname below Sudras. Adipolo. This was a demon's name, but it was also a surname. A demon's surname. Anyone with this surname was called a demon's child. Moreover, this surname was not innate, but acquired later on. First, it had to be soaked in the dirtiest liquid for 3 days and nights. Then, it had to personally kill its blood relatives to prove that it had severed its bloodline. Finally, it had to kill a cow. In Hinduism, cows were the mounts of Shiva, as well as the emissaries of God. Thus, killing the cow symbolized killing one's own faith. Only then would it be acknowledged by Adipolo and granted with the demon's blood. The method to summon Adipolo was actually something the cultists had obtained by accident when they were passing through India. They had tried it once before, and the consequences of that attempt were very serious. What they had summoned was not a god at all, nor was it a rational demon. What they had summoned was a monster who only knew destruction. Only a few of the followers who were present at that time were lucky enough to escape. Most of the followers were killed by the monster's frenzied rampage. This was also the reason why everyone was hesitant. Right now, they were indeed anxious to get away. However, if they summoned the monster, they might be killed by the monster before they could be killed by the liquid that seeped in. I recently found a spell that can take over the bodies of certain creatures, said Donim. Everyone looked at Donim in surprise. Sect leader, can your magic really control that monster? You'll know once you try. Donim's spell was actually prepared for Adipolo. However, every time he tried to summon Adipolo again, he would be met with strong opposition. Moreover, summoning Adipolo wasn't something he could do alone. That was something that could only be achieved by paying a huge price. To him, this crisis was actually an opportunity. This time, he could finally summon Adipolo legitimately. All right, we don't have any other choice. That's the only way. The higher-ups of the cult came to a wide, empty room. This was where they would conduct magic experiments or summon spells. The higher-ups gathered all the cultists hiding at the bottom of the 18th floor and had them prepare a magic array. Then they moved large amounts of resources and magic materials. When everything was ready, the higher-ups started the magic summoning. The cultists who were maintaining the magic array outside, they didn't know that they were actually sacrifices too. Huh? Chen Zhao's heart suddenly jumped. He felt a strong, magical wave in the lower levels. Beside Chen Zhao, Toddy Belster also felt it. However, they felt completely different. Toddy Belster first felt an inexplicable chill. Then, all her hair stood on end. Boss Chun, did something appear? Yes. Chen Zhao nodded. These cultists summoned a disgusting monster, but it's eating them now. Do you want to see? Forget it. Boss Chen, how about we leave? This monster isn't part of our plan anyway. I'm not done yet, Chen Zhao said unhurriedly. There were many magic materials and valuable collections on each floor of the Black Hell. The lower they went, the more valuable they were. They'd already gone through 7 or 8 floors. Chen Zhao estimated. He collected more than $300 million worth of collections. As for magic materials and magic tools, there were countless of them. One had to admit that the cult headquarters wasn't very powerful, but it was very rich. Before completely plundering this place, Chen Zhao couldn't bear to leave. Even though Chen Zhao's net worth was already over $10 billion, this place was like a treasure mountain. Large amounts of wealth were up for Chen Zhao to pick and take. No one fought with him for it. How could Chen Zhao bear to leave when there was such a good thing? However, Chen Zhao still observed the situation below silently. You guys control it. Just 1 minute. Just 1 minute and I can go to its body. While dodging the monster's attacks, Donim yelled, "Go up! Don't hide!" The scene was chaotic. The monster was attacking the cultists without restraint. There were many cultists, but most of them weren't united. The few who were willing to help weren't strong enough. They couldn't control the rampaging monster at all. Sinker, use your magic to calm it down. Lista, use magic chains to restrain it. Donim didn't go up himself. Instead, he ordered his subordinates to make all sorts of tactical arrangements. Fortunately, among his trusted subordinates, there were a few who were quite strong. Under his arrangements, the situation was barely under control. Seeing that the monster was under control, the others calmed down and helped. Hold on, I only need 1 minute. Donim was delighted. He was one step closer to the success of his plan. Chapter 2146. Donim landed on top of the summoned monster's head. Surrender. Donim placed his palms on the monster's forehead. The monster seemed to have sensed danger and frantically shook its head. It wanted to throw Donim off its head. However, Donim's limbs were firmly locked on the monster's head like a plate. Surrender. Donim's consciousness seeped into the monster's brain. At the same time, the monster's chaotic thoughts were also attacking his consciousness. The two were like two players in a tug-of-war. If Donim could not resist the monster's chaotic thoughts, then Donim would lose his sense of self and become a creature with chaotic thoughts like the monster. If he could resist the monster's chaotic thoughts, he could brand his soul imprint on the monster's soul. The risk was great, but the rewards were equally great. If he succeeded, he would control everything about the monster. Suddenly, an image appeared in front of Donim's eyes. This monster was once a human. Donim saw the life of this monster and how he became what he was now. Donim's spirit was lifted. He almost fell into the trap. Fortunately, although he felt his hair stand on end from what he saw just now, at the same time, he learned a lot from the image. He did not understand why he saw the monster's past. Perhaps it was a characteristic of the spell he was currently casting. Imprint. Donim did not dare to delay any longer. He immediately branded the imprint on the monster's soul. In an instant, the monster's struggles stopped. Donim let out a long sigh. Whoosh, leader, how is it? Donim looked at everyone with a smile on his face. It's my pet now. Donim jumped down from the monster's head and tilted his head slightly to look at the monster. It's not the so-called Adipolo. It's actually a Dipolo's son. Can it solve our current crisis? Donim's expression changed. Of course it can. All the cultists could not help but look expectant. Just then, a terrified cry came from outside. Everyone's expression changed. It's here. The dark liquid had already invaded this floor. At this moment, the dark lava had already spread to the door. However, the dark lava did not continue surging inside. All the cultists became even more nervous. Everyone stared at the door. At this moment, two strangers entered the room. Everyone's pupils suddenly contracted. Ah, there's a bunch of mice hiding here. Chun Zhao strolled in. Toddy Belster gave Chun Zhao a meaningful look. He didn't know how Chun Zhao had done it, or if Chun Zhao had used some kind of spell, but he was sure that Chun Zhao already knew that someone was hiding here. Chun Zhao even knew it when he was in the upper echelons. When Chun Zhao came to this place, he didn't make any turns or feel around. It was as if he knew the way, turning left and right to get here. Seeing Chun Zhao and Toddy Belster, Donim's expression changed. As expected, what happened in the Black Hell wasn't the punishment of the Wrath King. It was man-made. Who are you people? Donim asked in a low voice. Robbers, hand over your valuables, Chun Zhao said with a smile. Give me all your valuables. The corner of Donim's eyes twitched, and he coldly said, Go get rid of them. He did not know how powerful Chun Zhao and Toddy Belster were, so he did not dare to act rashly. Letting his subordinates test the waters was the best choice. There were many impulsive and fanatical believers among his trusted followers. After receiving his order, a dozen of them charged at Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao glanced at the dozen or so cultists charging at him. The dark lava behind him suddenly surged in. Like sharp spikes, it pierced through the cultists and dragged their corpses into the dark lava. As expected, the black and red liquid was controlled by this man. Who are you? Why are you attacking us? Because I need money. Chun Zhao glanced at everyone casually. This wasn't the first time Chun Zhao had faced cultists. Thus, he was familiar with their expressions. Donim obviously did not believe Chun Zhao. He stared at Chun Zhao coldly. If you think we're easy to bully, you better give up. If you leave now, I'll pretend that nothing happened. What if I don't leave? Die. The moment Donim said this, Adipolo's son suddenly moved and punched at Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao retreated a few steps, and Adipolo's son's fist smashed into the ground. The ground instantly exploded, leaving a ghastly crater. You better be careful. Adipolo is the symbol of the destroyer in Hinduism. Even though this is only Adipolo's son, it has the power to destroy everything. Power to destroy everything. Chun Zhao easily dodged Adipolo's son's attack. As he dodged, he replied, This power is far from enough to destroy everything. Really? Donim was clearly very confident in Adipolo's son. Let this ignorant person see your true power. Roar. Adipolo's son raised his head and roared, releasing a terrifying destructive power. Chun Zhao raised his eyebrows, and the dark lava immediately blocked in front of him. The destructive power split the dark lava and charged at Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao immediately raised his arm. Mouth of gluttony, devour. The destructive power was directly absorbed by Chun Zhao. This was truly a dangerous power. It was different from magic or immortal power. This was a chaotic power. If it was strong enough, it could even hurt Chun Zhao himself. Even the dark lava couldn't resist this power. It's indeed very strong. I take back what I said earlier, Chun Zhao said calmly. However, there was still an obvious difference between Adipolo's son and Chun Zhao's power. Continue, kill him, Donim roared. Adipolo's son attacked again, but no matter how much destructive power it released, it was all devoured by Chun Zhao. After devouring the destructive power, Chun Zhao didn't release it directly. Instead, he kept it. Chun Zhao wanted to study this power. He had to admit that this was one of the few powers that Chun Zhao was interested in. Adipolo's son didn't have unlimited power. After releasing it 3 times, it clearly showed signs of fatigue. On the other hand, Chun Zhao was like a bottomless pit. No matter how many times he absorbed, he didn't seem to have any difficulty. Your pet looks tired. Do you need a break? Chapter 2147. Donim's face alternated between green and red. He and his subordinates all thought that Adipolo's son was powerful enough, but their understanding of power was clearly different from Chun Zhao's. The son of Adipolo lowered his arms and panted heavily. "Kill, don't stop. Kill them. Hurry up." Donam roared. The son of Adi Brahma roared angrily. He stood up in anger and threw himself at Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao looked at the charging Adipolo's son. He'd already collected enough destructive power. He didn't need more. Adipolo's son swung his fist at Chun Zhao. Donam and the rest stood at the back, the body of Adipolo's son blocking their line of sight. They couldn't see Chun Zhao's movements clearly, but the next moment, half of Adipolo's son's body suddenly exploded. Flesh splattered backward, and then half of his body fell backward. Toddy Belster looked at Chun Zhao meaningfully. He knew how terrifying Chun Zhao was. To him, this journey was just a replay of Chun Zhao's terror. Chun Zhao glanced at the cultists before him calmly. With a light wave of his arm, the dark lava behind him surged into the door like a flash flood. "Ah, help! I don't want to die." Chun Zhao's dark lava swept over the cultists. He allowed them to sink and rise in the dark lava. But they didn't last long. They were quickly swallowed by the dark lava. Before long, their corpses were expelled from the dark lava. Chun Zhao's dark lava couldn't devour humans. Chun Zhao turned back to look at Toddy. "Okay, it's over," Chun Zhao said calmly. "Thank you, Boss Chun. Remember, no matter what happens next time, don't send me messages during holidays." Waiting was not an easy task, especially when Toddy Belster entered the Black Hell and Robert could only wait outside. Every minute and every second was a kind of torture for him. Just then, the ground shook violently. Then he saw the edge of the circular hole in front of him collapse continuously. The surrounding ground was also constantly collapsing. It was obvious that something had happened below. This made Robert even more anxious. Looking at the scale of the collapse, it was very likely that the underground structure had undergone a destructive change, and Toddy Belster was still down there. No matter how powerful he was, he wouldn't be able to withstand such an earth-shattering situation. But just as Robert was panicking, the ground suddenly shook. Suddenly, a loud noise came from the exit. Along with the soaring flames, a terrifying impact was set off. Robert took the full brunt of the impact and was thrown to the ground. He climbed up awkwardly, only to see Toddy Belster already standing in front of him. "Robert, are you okay?" Toddy Belster reached out and pulled Robert up. I'm fine. Master Toady, are you all right? What's the situation down there?" "The cultists are all dead. The last one activated the self-destruct device in a frenzy." Toddy Belster patted the dust off her body and said lightly. When Robert looked at Toddy Belster, his eyes were filled with admiration and awe. "Let's go, we should go back," Toddy Belster said flatly, as if she had done something insignificant. But the calmer he was, the more Robert respected him. "Master Toddy, Wistana called me earlier and asked me about the situation. I said you went into the Black Hell alone." Her tone was a bit strange. "Oh, what did she say?" "She asked why I didn't go in with you." "What did Wistana mean by this?" "Master Toddy, how do I respond to her?" "No need, just answer truthfully," Toddy Belster said calmly. "Yes, Master Toddy." Robert had completely surrendered to Toddy Belster. Toddy Belster was worried. Had some of his past deeds been found out and aroused their suspicion? To be honest, those things weren't confidential. If someone wanted to investigate, it wouldn't be difficult. Even his past clients could be investigated. Not to mention an organization like the Psionic Squad. This worried Toddy Belster. If they were suspicious, how would he deal with it? "Robert, I'll rest in the back. Call me when we get to the headquarters." "Master Toddy, are you hurt?" "No, I just used up some mana," Toddy Belster replied without batting an eyelid. Lying in the back seat, Toddy Belster secretly sent Chun Zhao a message. "Get out and say you want to go to the hospital," Chun Zhao replied. Toddy Belster understood immediately. "Robert, stop. I'm going to the bathroom." "Master Toddy, do you need me to help you?" "I'm not crippled," Toddy Belster replied with a dark expression. After getting out, Toddy Belster walked to the roadside. Toddy Belster looked around, but it was dark, and he couldn't see anything. Just then, Chun Zhao's voice came from the darkness. "If you dare to take that thing out, I'll crush it." Toddy Belster shuddered. "Mr. Chun, Wistana seems to be suspicious of me. What should I do? I can lend you power temporarily, but the side effects are serious. You won't be able to get out of bed for half a month." It's okay. As long as I can deal with it, it's fine. Yang, take a look at this. This is..." Yangwa took the file and studied it carefully. After a while, Yangwa put it down. "You're saying that Master Toddy is actually a liar?" "I can't be sure, but from the information I found, many details show that he's a liar." "But how is that possible? He solved the 7th prison incident. If he doesn't have extraordinary power, how can he solve it?" "I don't know. My mind is in a mess." "Where did he go?" "I told him to solve Black Hell. Whether he's a liar or not depends on whether he can solve Black Hell. Wistana, that's too risky. If he's not a liar, you'll make him unhappy. But until now, he hasn't shown us his magic. I'm more and more doubtful that he really knows magic." Yangwa frowned. Hearing Wistana's words, he also felt doubtful. Could it be that he had really made a mistake? Chapter 2148. When Toddy Belster returned, he looked tired. But when he and Robert arrived at the entrance, they saw Wistana, Yangwa, and Blitz standing at the door. Obviously, they were waiting for Toddy Belster. "Mr. Toddy, can we talk?" Wistana had already changed the way he addressed Toddy Belster. She had always called Toddy Belster Master before, but now she called him Sir. It was obvious that her attitude toward Toddy had changed. "I'm tired. Let's talk in a few days," Toddy said calmly. "Robert, help me back to my room." "Mr. Toddy, I don't think this can be delayed. I want to talk to you now. Are you ordering me?" Toddy Belster looked at Wistana indifferently. "Miss Wistana, Master Toddy just went through a big battle. You should respect him," Robert said unhappily. Toddy's expression was cold. Just then, Blitz made his move. He suddenly released a flame blast at Robert. "You should respect Wistana as well." Just then, Toddy Belster moved and stood in front of Robert. The flame blast disappeared the moment it got close to Toddy. Toddy glanced at Blitz and slammed his palm in the air. Then, a huge golden palm landed on Blitz's body. Along the way, the golden palm print was directly lifted up, and everywhere it passed, there were fragments flying everywhere. Blitz, Yangwa, and Wistana's expressions changed drastically. Blitz could feel the terrifying power of the golden palm print. Yangwa hurriedly cast a spell on Blitz. 5 elements protection. Blitz's body flashed with 5-colored light. But the 5-colored light shattered the moment it touched the golden palm. Blitz immediately cast a defensive spell on himself. Suddenly, Toddy Belster moved and appeared in front of Blitz. The defensive spell on Blitz's body disintegrated. Toddy didn't seem to be blocked at all. The palm was already around Blitz's neck. "Master Toddy, stop." Blitz felt cold all over. He followed Wistana's orders. Testing Toddy Belster. Originally, Wistana had told him that Toddy Belster was probably a liar. He believed Wistana's words. But Toddy Belster fought back fiercely. Moreover, how was this a scammer? Toddy Belster's attack left Blitz with no chance to fight back. "It seems like you don't welcome me." Toddy Belster looked coldly at the 3 of them. "In that case, I'll leave." "Master Toddy, this is a misunderstanding. We have no ill intentions." Wistana tried to explain. How was Toddy Belster not a spiritualist? She was a powerful spiritualist that made one's hair stand on end. "No malice?" "Robert, and I want to help you with the mission, and this is how you treat me?" Toddy Belster said angrily. Robert also looked at the 3 of them with righteous indignation. He felt that Toddy Belster and the 2 of them were hard at work. However, he was treated unfairly by them, especially when he thought of what Toddy Belster had said earlier. It made him wonder if it was because Toddy Belster protected him and didn't let him die in Black Hell. That was why Wistana, Blitz, and Yangwa were unhappy with Toddy Belster and wanted to talk to him. The more Robert thought about it, the more he felt that his guess was correct. Just then, Toddy Belster suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His face immediately became a lot more dispirited. His grip on Blitz's neck loosened. "Master Toddy, you're hurt?" It must be the battle before. Robert hurried to help Toddy Belster. Wistana, Blitz, and Yongwa looked at each other. Wistana's feelings were complicated. She had sworn that Toddy Belster was a liar. She had been angry and felt that she had been cheated. But reality slapped her hard in the face. Not only was Toddy Belster not an ordinary person, but he was terrifyingly powerful. If it wasn't for his injury, would he have killed Blitz? Yongwa's face was gloomy. He turned and walked away, growling at the same time, You better not drag me into this in the future. Yongwa didn't understand why Wistana wanted to deal with Toddy Belster. Master Toddy, we have no ill intentions. We just want to talk to you. Toddy Belster clutched his chest and turned to Robert. Help me back to my room. Yes, Master Toddy. Robert looked at the three hatefully. Then he helped Toddy Belster leave. Toddy Belster wasn't completely defenseless now, but the blood was the essence of it. It wasn't Toddy who vomited it on purpose. It was because of the power Chun Zhao had lent him. His body couldn't handle such a powerful force. But as time passed, his body grew heavier and heavier. Miss Wistana, can you explain what's going on? I don't understand. The information I found clearly shows that he's cheated many times, and he even used the identity of a spiritualist. But reality proves that he's not a cheat. At least in this case, he's a spiritualist, and a very powerful one at that. Blitz was also annoyed. He felt like he was being used by Wistana. Do you know how important such a powerful spiritualist is to us? I know, Wistana said, annoyed. I regret it too. A spiritualist who could kill Blitz in a second. Even if Yongwa and Blitz worked together, they might still be killed by Toddy. How powerful was he? The strength that Toddy Belster displayed could be their trump card, or even their trump card. If the psionic team had a direct conflict with the supernatural organization in the future, they would at least have the confidence to fight them head-on. But now, because of his impulsiveness, they had a rift with Toddy. Yongwa sat at the side and didn't speak. Maybe there's still a chance, Yongwa finally said. You think we still have a chance? Blitz asked, surprised. Master Toddy is injured, but he didn't leave. This means that he gave us a chance. It means that his impression of the psionic team isn't that bad. Mobile version of the fastest.d website. Chapter 2149. Jerlin was the only one in the family who could swim in December. Chun Zhao could do it too, but even he wouldn't feel comfortable in this weather. Jerlin, on the other hand, completely ignored the temperature. The family was preparing for Christmas. Portia kept placing all kinds of food on the table. The kids were playing in the field behind the manor. Xin, Li had suggested to Chun Zhao to get some riding horses. But Chun Zhao rejected her. Xin Li was fine, but the other kids were too young. They didn't know how to be safe and might get hurt while riding. Even some of the cows that were originally raised had been cleared out. After all, the kids in the family didn't know what fear was. Their first reaction when they saw an animal was to ride it. If it was the family pets, Chun Zhao would let them be. But in reality, the kids knew very well that some animals couldn't be ridden. Chun Zhao was considering if he should bring in some tamer animals, such as alpacas, Asian deer, and pygmy horses. In American law, these animals weren't controlled. You could raise them as long as you had some simple permits. These animals were more suitable for kids to touch. For example, the cows and horses they had raised before were more likely to harm the children at home. Merry Christmas. Stephen was the first person to call Chun Zhao today. Merry Christmas. Chun Zhao had no feelings for Christmas, but he couldn't ruin the festive atmosphere. For others, it was the most important holiday. So, Chun Zhao had to respect other people's holidays and traditions. Look at those fellows from hell. They don't have any objections to Christmas. After all, they could receive Chun Zhao's gifts on Christmas. I'm so jealous. I'm so busy now that I don't even have time to rest on Christmas, Stephen complained to Chun Zhao. You're the boss. If you want to rest, no one can stop you. Chun Zhao rolled his eyes. With Stephen's current status, no one could stop him even if he wanted to rest for a month. You think I don't want to rest? The crew is in the preparation stage right now. Many things are delayed for a day, and we'll lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. Didn't you say that this would only happen when filming starts? Why would there be losses when it's still in the preparation stage? Chen Zhao asked, confused. The rental of the equipment and venue has a time limit. It's not like I can use it whenever I want. Moreover, there was a small problem during the preparation some time ago, causing the construction to be delayed. Now, I can only rush the progress around Christmas. What problem? Do you need my help? No need. You can enjoy your Christmas in peace. He chatted with Stephen for a while. Chen Zhao wasn't sure if Stephen was busy, so he didn't continue the conversation. Just as the call ended, another call came in. Most of the calls were from close friends. They were all sending their blessings to Chen Zhao. Of course, Chen Zhao also sent his blessings to all his friends. Then there were the members of the association. It was a special Christmas for Lindsay Beyonce. She had already been thrown into the training tower by West and the rest 3 times. In less than a minute, they would be killed by the monsters in the trial tower. Finally, after the 3rd time, West didn't throw her in again. Lindsay, go take a shower and prepare for Christmas dinner. Jalanash stood outside the training tower, waiting for Lindsay Beyonce. Where do I go to take a shower? Your room, of course. Which room is mine? Forget it. I'll take you there. Lindsay Beyonce didn't have high hopes for her room. However, when Jalanash brought her to the arranged room, Lindsay Beyonce couldn't believe it. Was this luxurious room really for her? Did you take me the wrong way? This room is mine. If you don't like it, then go pick one yourself, Jalanash said indifferently. Lindsay Beyonce took a deep breath and asked, What exactly do you want to do to me? Do you? Do you have money? Or power? Jalanash looked down at Lindsay Beyonce. She raised 2 fingers and a dense fireball formed. Everyone in the association can kill you with 1 finger. Do you think you're valuable enough for us to do anything to you? Then why did you throw me into that horrible illusion? That's the only way for us, Jalanash said. Jalanash said, All of us have gone through countless trials and challenges in the Tower of Trials. But no one can survive in that place. You're only on the 1st level. If you can't even kill 100 of the weakest monsters, then you're useless to us other than being despised by us. Even Aduz, he's the gatekeeper of the headquarters. He could last 10 minutes in there. Everyone else passed the 1st level. What about you? Impossible. It's impossible for anyone to pass through that kind of hopeless situation. That only means you're weak. There's no other explanation. What Jalanash said made Lise Beyonce feel embarrassed. In the small circle she used to live in, she had always been feared by people. However, after being brought here by Chen Zhao, she realized that the power she had been so confident in and proud of in the past was not even worth mentioning here. It seemed that everyone here was stronger than her. What's the highest level? Apart from our president, the highest is 4, Jalanash said. Trust me, you don't even have the right to know the difficulty of the later levels. If you can do it, I can do it too. I hope the president didn't make a mistake. After all, you're the first spiritualist the president invited. Are you talking about that Asian? He's the president? Of course. Just watch. I'll surpass him one day. It's good that you have the heart. Work hard. Jalanash didn't mock Lindsay Beyonce. In the past, she'd also been working hard for this. But Chen Zhao's power had always made her feel despair. She couldn't see the limits of Chen Zhao's power at all. Chen Zhao had even done the most extreme thing, killing a god. That was something he didn't even dare to imagine. But it had really happened. Lindsay Beyonce glanced at Chen Zhao. Are you going to mock me? The chances are slim, but there's still a direction, right? He's strong, right? Yes. Jalanash nodded. Chapter 2150. When I was 5, there was a little fatty who bullied me every day. At that time, I swore that one day I would press him to the ground and beat him up. When I was 7, I did it. Lindsay Beyonce said seriously, when I was 12, there was a girl in my class. Her father was a gang member. She was so arrogant at school. I thought that one day, I would make her lose her support. That day, I awakened my talent. That night, I destroyed the place of the girl's father. Lindsay Beyonce told many stories about her past. Jalanash listened patiently to her recollections. What are you trying to say? I've defeated so many of my opponents in the past, so I believe that the Asian is the same. I have high hopes for you. Work hard. Lindsay Beyonce thought she would hear Jallanash's mockery. But Jallanash didn't mock her at all. This dampened the pleasure of her declaration. But the calmer Jallanash was, the more she felt that she was looking down on her. I can feel that you think it's impossible. Hurry up, Jallanash said. The others are waiting for you. If you don't want to miss the Christmas dinner, I don't mind. Lindsay Beyonce took a shower and changed her clothes. She felt much more refreshed. When she arrived at the restaurant, she saw demons dancing. There were countless evil spirits here, more than all the evil spirits she had seen in her life. But everyone was immersed in the festive atmosphere. Two evil spirits were doing a talk show on a simple stage. Lindsay Beyonce was in a trance. She felt like she had walked into the wrong place. Right at that moment, two evil spirit head chefs pushed a huge, roasted creature into the room. It was impossible to tell what kind of creature this huge roasted meat was originally, but it was definitely not a normal animal. Lindsay Beyonce was distracted again. She had met other spiritualists, but she had never been in contact with the spiritual world. So, her knowledge of the spiritual world was still very shallow. She had never seen such an unnatural creature. How about a serving of flying dragon meat? You can't eat this outside. Jallanash brought a piece of barbecued meat to Beyonce. Wyvern meat? Is this it? Yeah, our guild leader raised it. Is this a real dragon? No, there's real dragon meat in the freezer, but it's too complicated to cook. You have to drain all the blood in the meat first. Humans can't drink dragon blood, and there are some complicated magic ingredients in dragon meat. So unless you're a special person, ordinary people can't eat it. Dragon? The legendary giant dragon? Does such a creature really exist? Of course, most of us have seen dragons before. We've even seen existences more terrifying than dragons. Today was an eye-opener for Lynn Beyonce. She had never had the chance to see these things before. Apart from the roasted wyvern meat, there were also all kinds of strange food from unnatural creatures and magical food. And the wine was so good that Lynn Beyonce couldn't stop drinking. In the beginning, Lynn Beyonce was a bit reserved. She didn't know anyone, so she seemed lonely. But after 3 rounds of drinking, she didn't refuse anyone who came to drink with her. Even the evil spirit was no exception. When she was still drunk, she ran to the stage and sang a song while wailing like a ghost and howling like a wolf. Finally, she had to be helped back to her room. While she was in her room, she received a call from her uncle. "Uncle, I found a job. Don't worry about me." Lynn Beyonce sobered up a lot when she answered the call. For Lynn Beyonce, this was a new beginning for her. Whether she wanted to or not, she couldn't get away. At least, before she could make a choice, she had to stay here and obey the rules. In fact, she had already made her choice. In the past, her life had been muddled, and she was more depraved than most young Americans. But here, she felt a true sense of belonging. This sense of belonging didn't mean that she was familiar with the people here. It was because she felt that this was her world. Only here, she wasn't an anomaly. Here, ordinary people were the anomaly. After a moment of silence, her uncle said, "Then work hard. If you have time, come visit Nicole. Also, this will always be your home." "I'm sorry, Uncle." Hearing her uncle's words, Lynn Beyonce's emotions exploded. The midnight party at the headquarters was still going on. No, to be precise, it had just begun. After hanging up the phone, Lynn Beyonce buried herself in a quilt. Just then, there was a knock on the door. Lynn Beyonce guessed that it was Jallanash at the door. Opening the door, she saw that it was indeed Lynn Beyonce. "The party is still going on. Don't you want to go down?" "No, I have a headache after drinking too much." "Okay, call me if you need anything. I live across from you." "When can I get my salary?" Lynn Beyonce asked again. Finish a mission or pass the first level and become an official member of the society. What mission? Lynn Beyonce still thought that the supernatural organization was a violent organization. "Not sure. I don't know when. There are fewer missions recently. The missions in L, A, and the surrounding areas have all been taken by the Psionic Team." "Psionic Team?" "The organization that recruited me but thought that I wasn't strong enough? Yes. Who's stronger, the supernatural organization or the psionic team? Us, of course. The psionic team is child's play in front of us. Then why did they take our missions? That's complicated. To put it mildly, we're adopted. They're our biological children. Can't we kill them? Why do we have to kill them? Jalanash chuckled. Sometimes violence can't solve problems. Just like how the president is strong, he still has to follow the law and rules. That's because he's not strong enough to ignore the law and rules. Fine. If you want to understand it that way, you can. But here, you can't disobey the president's orders. You're not strong enough to challenge his authority either. Chapter 2151. It was past Christmas. However, the streets were still immersed in the festive atmosphere. Even some shopping malls, and supermarkets hadn't opened yet. If it was in China, most shopping malls wouldn't let go of such a business opportunity. After walking around the streets, Chun Zhao realized that there was really nothing to look at. Even the largest shopping street in the city was deserted. This was completely different from China. If it was after the Spring Festival in China, the shopping malls would definitely be packed. After walking around the city, Chun Zhao finally went to Hollywood. Steven's studio was in Hollywood. Chun Zhao went to Steven's studio. Sure enough, Steven and his employees were busy working in their workrooms. The employees were all too familiar with Chun Zhao, so no one stopped him when he came. No one would greet him. They were all buried in their work. "Hi, Steven." Chun Zhao pushed open Steven's office door. Steven was reading a document. Seeing Chun Zhao enter, he put down the document. "Aren't you going to stay home with Fei Lai and the kids today? I'm afraid you'll be lonely." Chun Zhao didn't sit on a chair. He just sat on Steven's desk. "When are you done? Let's go out for a drink." "I'm not free." "Oh, you drove here today, right?" Steven asked. "Yeah, what's wrong? You want to remind me not to drive after drinking? Don't worry. I'll just have your people drive my car back." "No, give me the keys. I want to use your car." "It's not like you don't have a car. I need to meet a client." "My car is too shabby," Steven said. "I drove a supercar. Does it suit your temperament?" "Doesn't matter. It's fine as long as it's expensive." "Fine." Chun Zhao slapped the keys on the desk. "You really don't want to go out for a drink? Didn't you hear? I need to meet a client later." "Fine. Set a time before coming out." "I don't have time right now." "Fine." Chun Zhao shrugged helplessly. Chun Zhao didn't stay at Steven's place. He said goodbye and left. As soon as he went downstairs, he saw an Asian woman taking selfies in front of his car. "Hey, is this your car?" The Asian woman turned to look at Chun Zhao. She sized him up and pouted, her face full of disdain. "Not yours anyway." Chun Zhao was furious, but he really didn't have the car keys. "From China?" Chun Zhao asked. "You too. How long have you been out?" He looks like he's going to turn into a fake foreigner soon. Chun Zhao couldn't continue the conversation with the woman, so he turned and left. "Hey, wait, are you free?" The woman chased after him again. "What for?" The woman gave Chun Zhao a $100 bill. "Be my tour guide today, and this is yours." Chun Zhao looked at the money in his hand and put it away. Then he turned around and left. "Hey, wait a minute. What's wrong with you? You have no manners at all. Do you know you can't take photos here?" Chun Zhao asked matter-of-factly. "Don't try to lie to me. This isn't a military base. Why can't I take pictures?" The woman said angrily. "I didn't lie to you. Look at the sign. It says no photos." The woman's face darkened, and she glared at Chun Zhao even more angrily. "Do you think I don't know English? It says no parking." She didn't care about the $100. She was angry at Chun Zhao's shamelessness and his attitude of treating her like a fool. "Give me back the money, or I'll call the police. There's no surveillance here. Don't say anything, or I'll sue you for slander." The woman was really stubborn, or maybe she was really angry at Chun Zhao. She took out her phone and called the police. Chun Zhao twitched his lips and turned to leave, but the woman grabbed him directly. "Don't leave." Chun Zhao turned his head and looked at the woman. "Let go. There's no one here. Don't force me to do anything bad to you. I'm an 8th Dan Judo. Do you think I'm scared of you?" At this moment, a police car stopped. It was Chun Zhao's old acquaintance, Sharon, who got out. "Who called the police?" Sharon's expression was businesslike. She didn't want to be familiar with Chun Zhao at all. Hello, beautiful police lady. This lady has been pulling at me since just now. She wants me to give her $100, or she'll say that I molested her. Chun Zhao was the one who complained first. No, it's not like that. He stole my $100, the woman said angrily in slightly rusty English. Sharon looked at Chun Zhao and then at the woman with a surprised expression. You mean he stole your $100? Yes. The woman nodded with certainty. Sharon then looked at Chun Zhao. What do you have to say? You know me. How could I steal her money? The woman sneered, pointed to her mobile phone, and said, I have millions of people here who can testify for me. What you did just now has been broadcasted to my fans. Chun Zhao's face suddenly turned livid. Damn, this woman was a streamer. He hadn't realized why the woman had been holding a selfie stick. In the end, she'd been broadcasting the whole time. Also, from her tone, she was quite popular. Seeing Chun Zhao's expression, Sharon immediately knew that he must have done it. Then come with me to the police station. Huh, actually, I was joking with her. I didn't take the $100 at all. Are you trying to argue again? The woman sneered at Chun Zhao. Actually, I'm a magician, Chun Zhao said awkwardly. That money is actually in your pocket. Feel it if you don't believe me. Do you think I'm stupid? Or that everyone in the broadcast room is stupid? I'm telling the truth. Feel it if you don't believe me. The woman touched her pocket and realized that there really was a ball of paper there. She took it out and saw that it really was $100. What did you put it in? I told you, I'm a magician. Chun Zhao shrugged. The woman tried hard to remember how she'd touched him. He didn't seem to have touched her body at all. Was he really a magician? The comments on the woman's phone flew everywhere. There were all sorts of comments. Just then, the woman saw an eye-catching comment. It was sent by a regular in her broadcast room. He was also the top of the donation list and had the nickname Handsome Taoist. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.